Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Sunday, August 21st, 2022. Busy weekend of headlines. We're going to go over a lot of them. But I want to start out by saying thank you to the YouTube channel Call Me Kinfolk. If you're not familiar with his channel name, call space me space kinfolk. He's been building up quite a following and he's doing a great job sharing the knowledge of Gematria. And this past Friday night, he kind of had an open mic night and let different minds in the community come together and share information. And it's a great idea. A lot more people need to be doing the same things. I've been trying to do the same thing almost every Sunday this year with the Sunday night show with the open mic for people to call in. And we will do that again tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern's usually about when it starts. Sometimes it starts early. But again, make sure you're following me on all the channels I'm posting on. Again, I have 5 channels right now, and I shuffle them all because I get strikes and suspensions, and it's the way to navigate the censorship. So again, I'm on Gematria Effect News 22, 23, 24, and 25. I have all those Gematria Effect News channels, 22, 23, 24, 25, and we also have Gematria Effect Sports. And make sure you subscribe to all those channels. The Sunday night show typically has been on Gematria Effect News 24 lately, which will continue to be the case until it gets suspended next. And then we'll switch over to whichever channel makes the most sense. Again, if you don't understand how YouTube works, if a channel creator gets 3 strikes, their channel's automatically deleted. And YouTube does have the right to just delete your channel outright without even having any strikes, which is something I've also experienced. So make sure you're following all those channels. But if you missed the conversation we had this past Friday night on Call Me Kinfolk's channel, or at least for the time of the show I was on, I was telling people to pay attention to this Buffalo Bills preseason game. Usually preseason games don't matter, but to pay attention to the preseason game they just had against the Broncos yesterday because of what just happened in the news in the world of celebrity. You had the death of the singer Denise Lucky, who went by the name Q Lazzarus, and she got famous through the film Silence of the Lambs. So, to go over the thumbnail I put out for this video, you have a picture of Buffalo Bill, the serial killer in Silence of the Lambs. He's dancing to the song Goodbye Horses by Q Lazzarus, who was just announced dead this week. And if you've seen Silence of the Lambs, it's the movie starring Anthony Hopkins where he wears the mask because he's a serial killer who likes to bite people. He's a cannibal. On the day they broke the news of Q Lazarus's death, the world of science put out information that we were in the time. Here, let me get the exact phrasing because I had never seen this before in my life. But on the same day they broke the news of Q Lazzarus, who's connected to the movie Silence of the Lambs, which has to do with Anthony Hopkins, the cannibal serial killer. On the same day that they released the news, August 18th, 2022, this is what the world of science was putting out. A cannibal solar ejection heading straight for Earth could bring northern lights as far south as Illinois and trigger power voltage issues. So again, just the word cannibal being in the headlines the day of the Q Lazarus death. Because again, in the movie, there's a serial killer who's dancing to her song Goodbye Horses. And the serial killer's name in the film is Buffalo Bill. And of course, you have the Buffalo Bills. They open their preseason against the Colts and the Broncos, the 2 teams with horses connections. Kind of like how John Elway, drafted by the Colts, traded to the Denver Broncos. And don't forget that the Baltimore Colts is the old Colts franchise. They moved to Indianapolis in '84, and of course, Baltimore's racing town, where one of the Triple Crown races is. So anyhow, Buffalo Bill, Goodbye Horses, the film, and the football team. Go back to 1991. 1991 is the year the Bills lost to the Giants in Super Bowl 25 with the 47-yard field goal wide right? 91 was the year of Silence of the Lambs and her song getting super famous. 91, the year that the Bills 4 straight Super Bowls started and ended with the heartbreak. And 91 was also a big year for the Soviet Union. Remember, right now we have this Russia-Ukraine thing going on, which started right after Super Bowl 56 concluded. And again, we'll come to how this all fits together in case you haven't been following us throughout the year. I know a lot of you guys have lost track of the channel because you're not keeping up with all the new channels I have to create. It's frustrating because of the censorship. But all year we've been covering all this stuff, but we're going to try to bring it all together just for a refresher and for people who've missed the information. But oh shoot, I lost my train of thought for a second. Oh yeah, 91. 91 was the year of the Bills Giants Super Bowl. The wide right. Again, the year of the film, the year of the song, and also the year the Soviet Union broke up. Back then, Russia and Ukraine used to be part of the same Soviet Union. They were all part of one nation. Imagine if the United States of America broke up, turned into smaller countries, and then 30 years later, the largest part of that remaining country was trying to take over another one of the territories that it used to be connected to from 30 years earlier. Because that's essentially what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, and the breakup of the Soviet Union. Remember, the Soviet Union broke up Christmas Day 91. And the last leader of the Soviet Union, who still lives, Mikhail Gorbachev, remember, the Russia-Ukraine conflict began right before his 91st birthday. The military conflict officially began February 24th, which, by the way, is the day in history that the Gregorian calendar was unveiled in 1582. But that's the calendar we're on that's named after the Pope. And of course, Pope Francis was in Russia right at the beginning of it, pleading for them to stop. On the 56th day of the year, right after Super Bowl 56. We'll put it all together. But 91 is the breakup. 91 was this massive year, okay? Now, recall, Super Bowl 56 was the concluding game of the 102nd NFL season, 102. And 102 is a really big number in the history of war. Again, this book right here, Sun Tzu's Art of War. The only reason we know about this book is because of the Jesuit priest, Father Amiot of France, who translated it. And again, if you get this book, you'll look at the first page, the opening page, and you will see that there are 7 rules. Laying plans, chapter 1. 7 rules. And again, there's rule 1, there's rule 2, there's rule 3, there's rule 4, but then when you get to the next rule, something changes. It's rule 5, 6. And then there's a rule 7 as the next one that's separate, just like rule 1, 2, 3, and 4, all separate, but rule 5, 6 on the same line. And again, it says the moral law causes the people to be in complete accord with their ruler, so that they will follow him regardless of their lives, undismayed by any danger. And when you write out Society of Jesus in Gematria, it equals 56, just like the word Pope equals 56, and that's who they serve. And on the 56th day of this year, February 25th, one day after the conflict broke out, the story was that Pope Francis was at the Kremlin with Putin pleading for him to stop the war. Anyhow, with regards to it being the 102nd NFL season, if you write out Art of War, it equals 102. If you write out World War, it equals 102. Remember, 9/11, there was the simulation, June 1st, of Al-Qaeda attacking the U.S. By the way, Al-Qaeda equals 102. But from that simulation to 9/11 was 102 days later. And after 9/11, you had the Patriot Act and then the emergence of the New England Patriots. And again, just the point I'm making is sports, entertainment, world history. Remember, 2 towers became 0, became 1 on the anniversary of 9/11. John Ritter from Three's Company died, and they lived in apartment 201 in that show. And he died at age 54. And there's a May 4th episode, 5/4 episode of Three's Company, where he jokes that he's a Jesuit priest. He ends up dying at age 54 on 9/11 of all days. And again, 54 is the number that represents the word sun, which is the Jesuit order's logo. Jesuit order also equals 54, like sun. Think about the Jesuit text about war, art of war, and the supposed man Sun Tzu. And again, you can look into the merger of GlaxoSmithKline and Pfizer exactly 102 weeks before their vaccine was approved for coronavirus, which came out of China, like Sun Tzu. And you can look into the Call of Duty game Warzone. Warzone equals 102, coming out exactly. It's set in a fictional Ukraine, coming out 102 weeks before Russia, Ukraine popped off. And that came out at the same time the pandemic was declared. So after 102 weeks of coronavirus, then we had Russia, Ukraine. Again, if you're not following yet, pay attention because we'll make it all make sense. The point I'm trying to make and starting to make is how all of these world events are being orchestrated, and the entertainment, the news, the sports, the world affairs, it's all connected. It's all being controlled by a centralized cabal, which is the Jesuits who operate on behalf of the Roman Catholic Church, which is a worldwide empire. All roads lead to Rome. But yeah, just with regards to, Russia, Ukraine, of course, you have Zelensky, the former actor, now the leader of Ukraine. And if you guys don't know about that, look into his show, his comedy show that he had, where from that show, he ended up forming the real political party from the show. And then he became the leader of it. And then he became the president of the country, all right before this happened. And then, of course, you have the ongoing thing with Trump and Putin and the Russian collusion. And if Trump was in there, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Again, we'll bring it all together. We'll show how it's all connected. I should even have up the Warriors and Steph Curry up there with the same color scheme as the Rams in Ukraine. But here's where I want to start. Again, when I went on the show with these gentlemen on Friday night, I was telling them about the Buffalo Bills season, what's going on with. We'll just review it right now, actually, rather than let's just go through it piece by piece. But I was talking about how we need to pay attention to what happens in these ongoing games, these narratives, and how there's a clear number pattern. So look at this. There ended up being, let me show you the Bills' first two preseason games. Okay, the Bills in week 1 of the preseason beat the Colts 27-24. Of course, Buffalo equals 27. Added up 51 points. Indianapolis equals 51. You see this all the time, preseason, regular season. Notice yesterday the Bills won by 27. Again, Buffalo equals 27, and they won 42-15. Again, if you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers in Gematria, but out of the 4 base ciphers, there's one that's the most important. It's definitely the most important in sports. It's the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Buffalo equals 27. And make sure this stuff's showing up right. Okay, we're good. Okay, Buffalo equals 27. This is the most important cipher in Gematria out of the 4 base ciphers. Yesterday, they won with 42 points after the announced death of Q Lazzarus just 2 days before the game. And again, her hit song is Goodbye Horses, that was made famous while Buffalo Bill is dancing to the song in the film Silence of the Lambs. And again, Q Lazzarus 42. She was a black woman, number stamped all over Black history. 4 years ago, I was talking about the death of Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul, on the anniversary of Elvis, the king of rock and roll. They both died on the same day in history Babe Ruth died. And again, Aretha had 42 studio albums when she died. So Q Lazzarus 42, Goodbye Horses. The Bills open in the preseason against the Horses teams that have the history going back to John Elway. And again, even before this game was played, already confident it's connected. Now, with regards to the total score being 42-15, that's 57 points. So here's my post from before any of this stuff happened. I put this up on Twitter the other day when I posted it. But I want to show you guys some interesting things. Her birth name, Diane Lucky. If I said Denise Lucky earlier, apologies. Diane Lucky. I want to show you what's interesting about her name. She spells Lucky, Luckey. Look at this in the base ciphers. Diane Lucky has Gematria 47 and 61, right? The other numbers here are interesting as well, but 47 and 61. Look at the word luck itself, right? 47, 61. And then they're saying she's dead at age 61. Okay. They announced the news on the 18th. 61 is the 18th prime number. Like Roger Maris hitting 61 home runs in 1961. Baseball equals 18. 18 half innings in the game. Baseball also equals 54, like 54 outs in a game. But this film came out February 14th, 91, Valentine's Day, very Catholic day. Super Bowl 91 that year was the wide right 47-yard field goal, like Diane Lucky. Some people just think the Bills got bad luck. Notice in that game, that all New York game, 39 total points scored. Again, in the most pure cipher, if you can just have one, there's a reason we call New York the 39 city. New York the 39 state. There's a million examples of New York and 39. Comes together all the time. World's Fair was in New York in 39. The first governor of New York born in 1739. By the way, for the veterans in the community, the World's Fair of Seattle was in 62, right? And what was unveiled at the World's Fair in Seattle in 62 was the UFO in tribute to aliens and the Roswell thing down in New Mexico, the 47th state in 1947 when Seattle's on the 47th parallel. And the rotating restaurant used to do a full rotation every 47 minutes. But anyway, New York's World Fair in 39. The idea for the World Trade Center was designed at the 1939 World's Fair. But then 23 years later, you have the tribute to Alien in 62. And then the World Trade Centers were designed at the 1939 World's Fair. So 62 years later was 2001 when those buildings came crumbling down, like the 62 World's Fair in Seattle. And remember, the construction firm that helped build the World Trade Centers, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, they were from Seattle. Seattle is also where the home of Boeing is. The planes that supposedly flew into the building from Boeing. The man who designed the World Trade Centers, Minoru Yamamoto. I think it's Minoru. We'll double check his name. It's something like that. But he's also from Seattle. And I just learned yesterday that the man who designed the World Trade Centers, I always knew he was from Seattle, but he used to work for the Bin Laden family. There was a mainstream article written about it, and I was just like, "You gotta be kidding me, man." All these years. Always learning more, though. But yes, the man who designed the World Trade Center family began working for the Bin Ladens in the 50s. We'll get to that article. Lots to cover. But anyhow, New York 39 points scored in the wide right Super Bowl that broke the Bills' hearts. Had it gone through, they would have had 22 points. They would have won the game. And here we are in the year 2022, and all this stuff's going on with Buffalo, the top shooting, the death of Dawson Knox's brother the other day. Chuck Knox, the old NFL coach, coached the Bills and the Rams, who opened the season this year. Anyhow, noticed that Super Bowl, the wide right Super Bowl that the Bills lost in 91, the year that the Soviet Union fell apart, the year that Silence of the Lambs came out. Notice it was in Tampa, right? Tampa. All eyes on Tampa this year after Tom Brady's short retirement. Remember, I just went to the Buffalo Tops. I spent a week there and I documented the memorial site and I showed people the whole site. And I said, look, out of this whole site, there's only one team with NFL representation here. And you'd think it would be one of the New York teams, at least the Buffalo Bills, maybe the New York Jets, the Giants, maybe all the teams. But no, only one team with representation in the memorial, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And isn't it funny that all of these things are pointing back to 91? Soviet Union breaking apart. Again, the Russia-Ukraine conflict breaking out a week before Gorbachev's 91st birthday. If I remember right, Gorbachev's birthday is March 1st, somewhere right around there. He turned 91 a week after the whole thing popped off. But remember also what 91 is. 91 is the 13th triangular number, which means if you had 1 through 13, it equals 91. We know on our dollar bills, 13's all over them. And with regards to the city that won the Super Bowl, LA, the 13th city, mega city. And another city with a lot of predictive programming for it for disaster, just like how New York had many years of predictive programming for huge disasters there, including the World Trade Centers. So we'll continue to bring this all together. But 91, the year that Q Lazzarus again breaks out because of her song being in this key scene in the film Silence of the Lambs, which was a huge movie. And by the way, if you write out the title of the film, The Silence of the Lambs, it's 201, right? Um, just to show you something about the Bills owner Pagula, his full name, I believe it's Terrence Michael Pagula. Yeah, it is. Terrence Michael Pagula, who supposedly bought the Bills for 4.7 billion. Notice his full name is 201. And look at the coach of the Bills coach, John Michael McDermott. His full name, check it out. His full name is 201. See how the 201s is not changing? Remember who that number is important to. Order of Illuminati is 201. Remember, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, and he ended up dying in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. But he was Jesuit educated, and Hillary Clinton, who's a Jesuit like her husband Bill Clinton, again, she opened that top store on O.J. Simpson's birthday. Remember, the O.J. Simpson crime scene was found June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. And that was in LA. LA was in 91 was the Rodney King beating in LA. Again, there's a bunch of clues here of what they're doing. O.J. Simpson and the white Bronco chase. O.J. Simpson played for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills just had this ritual against the Denver Broncos, the white Broncos, a team that we've been pointing out how they're used in race-based symbolism. Again, go back to Super Bowl 50. USA Today wrote their hit piece on me because in October we had the Super Bowl figured out what was going to be the white Denver Broncos over the black Carolina Panthers in tribute to, that history of race in the NFL, what was going on that season with the Ferguson, Michael Brown shooting, and the Black Lives Matter aftermath. Anyhow, remember, all these numbers are coded. Speaking of Michael Brown, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Michael Brown's 201, just like the Jesuit order is. The Jesuit order 201, the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola 201. Again, we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, whose birth name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio. And his name's 201, first living sweet 201. This is a big boss number. This is how you can tell that, it's serious business behind these rituals. This is the Illuminati. And with regards to, how this started with us talking about the Q Lazzarus thing, they waited to break the news of her death until August 18th, despite the fact that she had died a month earlier, July 19th. And again, what do we always say about August 18th? We call that Illuminati Day. Before he called it Order of Illuminati, which equals 201, Adam Weishaupt, the founder, called it the Bavarian Illuminati. And Bavarian Illuminati is 188, 18/8. And again, with regards to the U.S. money, by the way, the Great Seal on the United States that has the Roman numerals for 1776, the same year the Illuminati was established, and this nation, May 1st, 1776, the Illuminati. And then July 4th, 1776, the birthday of this nation. But on the US dollar bills, the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100, you add up the denominations, it adds up to 188. And huge Illuminati rituals year after year on August 18th. We covered several the day of, but again, just the way these numbers come together, the numbers to recognize, to see through the rituals and the patterns. And you might have noticed that Bavarian Illuminati does also have the 127. That's the 31st prime number. 31's the 11th prime number, kind of like how on 9/11 buildings 1, 2, and 7 came down. And again, they called it the new Pearl Harbor, and Pearl Harbor was on December 7th. But you might have noticed the Super Bowl date. Where did I have that up? Was January 27th, 127 as well. Also interesting. In Tampa. Brady's trying to get to his 11th Super Bowl. Bucks and Bills, dollar bills, Illuminati. Tom Brady born 201 years after the Illuminati in 1977. Married to Giselle, born on the 201st day of the year. Again, go see everything they did with his last Super Bowl. 201 passing yards, 201 points scored but in all the games in the playoffs, his team and opposing team. And then he meets with Biden on the 201st day of the year. Again, the man who sacrificed his wife, daughter, and son all in 201 rituals. Just like what happened to Trump's wife recently in her burial on the 201st day of the year, after they had their first child together 45 years earlier on the 201st day of Trump's age, who tried to buy the Buffalo Bills recently. Okay, so here, let's make a point about this right now. Again, you had the Rams win Super Bowl 56. The coach of the Rams, Sean McVay, his fiance is from Ukraine. The Rams' colors are blue and gold like Ukraine's. Then you have the Warriors win the finals also in California in the blue and gold. Warriors in the time of a war with Ukraine that has the same color scheme. Again, it's the Rams, Warriors, Ukraine, blue and gold, which when merged together is green, another color that's been huge this year in 2022, the year the film Soylent Green is set in, a film that came out in 1973, 49 years ago, when green equals 49. So does NFL, so does Warriors. Anyhow, there's a number that connects Trump, Putin, and California. And it's the number that is 88, which should remind everybody of the 8-8 Mar-a-Lago raid in the last 7 years of me talking about Trump and 88. And again, in the most simple cipher, Trump is 88, Vladimir is 88, California is 88, and Russian, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, is also 88. And again, just we're pointing out how all the narratives come together. Remember, in the most pure cipher, Ukraine is 34. Matt Stafford became the 34th QB to win a Super Bowl at age 34. Then Steph Curry won the NBA Finals at age 34 and scored 34 in Game 1 and Game 2. And right now, the biggest headline out of Ukraine is that a car bomb killed the daughter of a key member of Russia's, political fascist organization, the way they're presenting it over here. But her death was yesterday, which was a date with 34 numerology. And not only does it connect to Ukraine, it historically also connects to murder. So fitting, but again, the same patterns. The Georgia Guidestones this year fell down on the 34th parallel. Of course, that was 201 days after the Pope's birthday on George W. Bush's 76th birthday. If you missed all that work, be sure to go back and check it out because it's important. It's very predictive of where we're being taken to, and again, who's really responsible for these rituals. Okay, so I think we've brought together how this all fits through the year 1991, why this is happening right now. But hold on, there's one more point I need to make. I forgot to get to actually, there's a few more points that need to be made. Okay, remember the top shooting was on May 14th in Buffalo at the grocery store. They said 10 killed, 3 injured before the 103rd NFL season. And remember, O.J. Simpson, they opened that store on O.J.'s birthday, his 56th birthday. And then the shooting happened 56 days before his upcoming birthday this year, which was on July 9th. And again, he used to be the big star with the Buffalo Bills, who's been connected since the 90s to racial tensions in America based on mainstream programming and getting people to take sides on certain narratives. But then you had this race-based shooting at the Buffalo Tops, again, opened up OJ's birthday on May 14th. And you could see the gun in the video had the 14 words painted on it, something he talked about in his manifesto, which was just like the Christchurch, New Zealand shooter who was also into the 14 words, which are related with white supremacy. Again, this shooting was on the 14th, May 14th. And from that shooting to this game against the white Denver Broncos, exactly 14 weeks. Exactly 14 weeks, right? Racism, white Bronco, O.J. Simpson, Buffalo, Denver. Okay, are we following? Now, you can also consider that one of the whitest states demographically in the whole U.S. is Wyoming, which is the state Josh Allen's from, who's the quarterback for the Bills right now. But also in Wyoming, there's a town named Cody, Wyoming, named after the actual Buffalo Bill. His name's Cody. By the way, he's born on the 57th day of the year, the real Buffalo Bill. The Super Bowl this year upcoming is Super Bowl 57. And remember, we're in the time of the 57th governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, who's from Buffalo. If you've missed all my work on the Buffalo top shooting, again, it's perfectly synced with Kathy Hochul in a number of ways. For example, Tops Friendly Markets, the name of the store, equals 263. The shooting was 263 days after her birthday, the 56th prime number. She just replaced the Jesuit Governor Cuomo, number 56. But again, there's a lot more to it as well. But remember, right after Super Bowl 56, shortly after, you have the top shooting, clearly connected to the NFL season. It was 2 days after they announced the Bills would open the season. And that shooting was 117 days before the season opener when Buffalo Bills is 117. And it's going to be their 63rd season. And racism in Buffalo equals 63. And the mayor, Byron Brown, was 63 at the time of the shooting, just like Kathy Hochul was 63 at the time of the shooting. And then they opened the store span of 63 days later. And remember, I went to Buffalo a week after the shooting to teach about the significance of 63 and race-based rituals like this. And then, weeks after I left there and gave them that lesson to that community that a lot of people received, the store opened 63 days from the shooting. And then Kathy Hochul speaks on it on July 30th, 30/7, like 307, the 63rd prime. And there's a lot more to it. But anyhow, coming back to this, I want you to see something. When I first started to look into the death of this woman, Q Lazzarus, even though all the headlines were saying she died at 61, this is what her Wikipedia said the day that she died. I got this screenshot before Wikipedia updated it. They were saying she was 56 years old, but then all the headlines changed her age to death to 61. It's like when Chadwick Boseman died. He was 42 when he died, and then all of a sudden, he became 43. Right? We documented that well, and we've seen this before. I mean, this isn't anything new, but her Wikipedia had her at 56, so she jumped a full 5 years once the headlines went out of her being dead at 61. But okay. We talked about where the 201 fits in. If you're new here, you guys, look at this. The word heliocentrism equals 201. And again, that's the model that says the sun is at the center of the universe. It was established in the 16th century, the same century the Jesuits were, the same century that the Gregorian calendar came out, where everything's based on the sun. And again, we're on a sun-based calendar, the Gregorian calendar, named after the Pope, Gregory the 13th, where Pope equals 52, like the 52 weeks in the year. And for the person who was paying attention earlier, you said Pope equaled 56. It does when you run it in reverse. 52 in the most simple, 56 in reverse. But heliocentrism 201, that's in the same century as the Jesuits, English with the way we use it today. Again, the calendar. When you write out Order of Illuminati, again, forwards, it's 201, right? Notice how the word Illuminati alone is 150. And look at when I write out heliocentrism again, how forwards it's 150. Again, they say the sun is 150 million kilometers away from Earth on average, right? 150, 201. You see these numbers come together a lot. When Joe Biden's son died at age 46, years before he became number 46, he died on the 150th day of the year, 201 days before the Pope's birthday. Again, they just did a huge ritual with Uvalde in 150 and 201 and Alex Jones in 150 and 201. Remember, they were suing him for 150 million. That news was announced to span at 201 days from his upcoming birthday. Again and again with the same number patterns. When Alec Baldwin shot the Ukrainian woman on the set of Rust, it was 201 days after his own birthday at 1:50 p.m. local time, they said. And by the way, let me write out Order of Illuminati. See how it's also 93 when you use numerology? Baldwin's born on the 93rd day of the year, April 3rd. They say the sun's 93 million miles from Earth on average, or 150 million kilometers. But his birthday is the 93rd day of the year, the shooting. 201 days later at 1:50 in the afternoon, they compared it to Brandon Lee's death. Again, Brandon Lee, buried on April 3rd, 93. Alec Baldwin's birthday, the 93rd day of 93. And Brandon Lee's death was compared to the plot of Game of Death, the film his dad died while making. Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee died on the 201st day of the year, which is the anniversary of the moon landing. And the moon is the illuminated object in the sky from the sun. The sun illuminates the moon. The moon landing on the 201st day of the year. Order of Illuminati 201. Remember, Neil Alden Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, 201. The Twilight Zone, where the pilot episode's about sending a man to the moon, 201. Predictive programming for planned rituals to control the minds of the masses. And what did I just have up here a second ago? I had a word up here a second ago I wanted to go back over. Oh, I know. Here, well, we'll just do it this way. You notice how Q Lazzarus also has Gematria 48. We talked about the 42 in the most pure. Also 48. The day they broke the news, Illuminati Day, August 18th, 2022, it was a date with 48 numerology, and Illuminati is also 48. And so is Hollywood. And so is New Mexico. Remember when Alec Baldwin just did the thing, he shot the woman in New Mexico. Russia, Ukraine, right? Rituals. The whole Russia-Ukraine's a massive ongoing 201 thing from before it started up through the present, as we've been documenting all year. Again, I know a lot of you guys aren't keeping up with my work. You thought I quit because you're not finding the new channels I'm having to bounce through all the censorship and suppression. But anyway, again, if you guys aren't finding my work, you got to look for it because it's out there. I put out content every day. But anyway, New Mexico, remember, Donald Trump is also 48. Donald Trump is also 48. Alec Baldwin's been playing Donald Trump. Donald Trump's another guy with 1,201 connections. The Buffalo top shooting, it happened 48 days after Terrence Pagula's birthday, the owner of the Bills. Okay. And again, it's synced up with Josh Allen, it's synced up with Sean McDermott. It's a massive ritual. And for people who can't understand how all of this stuff is done, it's because we're living out planned rituals that are planned many years in advance. And it gives the powers that are running these leagues, these organizations, choosing who's going to be in this political office, who's going to be the quarterback for this team. They're making sure the people that fill those slots, they have the talent and capability, but they also have the right digits for the ritual. And again, it's Buffalo Bills, just thinking, oh, wow, they're star quarterbacks from Wyoming, where there's a city, Cody, Wyoming, named after Buffalo Bill. That's interesting, And then again, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, being focused on this and then going, oh, wow, look at that. The woman who's famous from the song that's made famous through the Buffalo Bill scene. Now she's dead right before this Buffalo Bill season we're looking at. And that news comes right after the death of Dawson Knox's little brother, when, again, Chuck Knox coached the Bills and the Rams, who opened the season this year. And the Dawson Knox thing, again, he was the 96th pick of the draft, born in 1996, like Josh Allen. And from the top shooting to the death of his little brother, 96 days later. This stuff's not an accident. These are the rituals. Again, the Jesuits created modern Freemasonry. The word Freemason in the most simple cipher is 96. Joe Biden, who just got his Build Back Better plan, that was signed by him 96 days before his birthday in the year 22. 22 is the master builder number. The Freemasons are the builders. They used to build the Catholic cathedrals, the best buildings in town. That's where the Jesuits, the Catholic Church, and Masonry all come together. DC is known as the Masonic City, named after George Washington the Mason, but the Jesuits have been there longer than the Feds and the Masons. And again, you look at the conspiracy community, almost everyone blames everything entirely on Freemasonry, which is a part of it at the highest degrees. Most Masons don't know anything about anything, but it's ultimately the Jesuit power structure who sits behind all of this. Again, they're the ones that gave us the language and the calendar. I mean, it's there's only one organization that this bread trail, or following the breadcrumbs, that really leads back to and is capable of pulling this off, as they clearly are. So okay, I still might have not made the point again clearly enough. We were really watching this game because I put out the notes when the news broke. What was it? Did I find out? Let's see what day I posted. I posted this August 19th, 5 p.m. West Coast time. So anyhow, In the notes, I talk about the significance of her dying in the time of Cancer, but then breaking the news in the time of Leo. Again, sun and moon. Cancer's ruled by the moon, Leo by the sun. And the word moon has that gematria 57. You see how moon is 57? Rams, 57. Before Wikipedia updated her death, she was 56 years old. And then, they jumped it to 61. But the thing about when you turn 56, you begin your 57th year of life. Just like how the day you're born, that's the first year of your life. You turn one, the day you turn one, you begin your second year of life, counting up to turning age 2. So if she really died at 56, it's kind of like the transition from Super Bowl 56 to 57. And anyhow, Rams has the gematria 57, just like Moon does. And again, Buffalo Bill, the actual Buffalo Bill, born on the 57th day of the year. Kathy Hochul, 57th governor of New York from Buffalo. The man Dawson Knox. Here, I want you to see Dawson Knox's birthday. He's born on the day leaving 57 days left in the year. By the way, Dawson has that gematria 22. Little brother dead a span of. Oh, by the way, okay, so think about that too. The day that his brother, the news broke of his brother's death, is the same day that they saved the news for the death of Diane Lucky. Again, Q Lazzarus, who has the song connected to Buffalo Bill. And one more time, this was what the world of science had in the news that day. A cannibal solar ejection. Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter the cannibal, Anthony Hopkins. Probably a person to keep an eye on with everything going on. And you know what else is interesting now that I think about it? Jodie Foster, who's in Silence of the Lambs, the guy who tried to assassinate Reagan, John Hinckley, is obsessed. Part of the story of him, the mainstream story, is that he's obsessed with Jodie Foster. And remember, when Trump began running for president, that's when they released him from the prison and put him like in a more of like a mental hospital facility. And then since then, he was released, I think, to a home, like, when you have to stay in your home with an ankle bracelet on your property. And then more recently, he was in the news maybe 2 months ago about getting a new level of freedom. So that's another thing to think of with John Hinckley in the background. He's from the Dallas Park, or what do they call it? Highland Park, the rich neighborhood in Dallas where Matt Stafford's from, where Clayton Kershaw's from, and where Scotty Scheffler's from, who just won the Masters 56 days after Matt Stafford won Super Bowl 56, who went to Georgia, who won the college championship. And they say Georgia, the country, will be the next country to join NATO, the 33rd country. We'll see. But yeah, just all of these numbers. So we were already looking at this and talking about this, and then the game gets played where we're saying, let's see what they do with the score of the game right after the death of Q Lazzarus. Goodbye horses, as the Bills play both horses teams. And I mean, seriously, you guys, 57 points in the game, 42 scored, Q Lazzarus 42. And again, winning by 27 after the week before winning with 27, when, like we said, in the most Pierce cipher, if you can only have one, look at it. Buffalo 27, win with 27, and then win by 27. And in that first week's game, there were. Oh, hold on, I'm tripping. All right, I was wrong. I was thinking Indianapolis was a 51 city. I guess not. My fault. 51 points combined in that game. But then also the Q Lazzarus part, scoring 42 after their passing. Q Lazzarus, 42. So, But yeah, here, Dawson Knox, again, his birthday. And remember, his birthday is November 14th. He wears the number 88. We were talking about where 88 fits in with all this. Remember how we were saying, on 88, Trump's place got raided. Trump equals 88. Vladimir 88. The Russian collusion. California 88 with the big rituals. Russian 88. And then the tight end number 88, losing his brother 88 days before his November 14th birthday. And again, November 14th is the day leaving 57 days left in the year. Born in 96. And again, right here, November 14th, 96, Brentwood, Tennessee. And you can see that he was on 42 career regular season games. From the top shooting May 14th to the death, 96 days. You know. And with regards to the whole Trump thing fitting in, remember the highest degree of mega, MAGA, or I should the highest degree of the satanic church is mega. Mega. In addition to Freemason equaling 96 in the most simple cipher, so is Satanism. And remember, Trump almost had the Buffalo Bills before Pagula outbid him with the 4.7 billion. And again, Chuck Knox. Chuck Knox dead at age 86, 15 days after his birthday. Rams. Remember, in the most pure cipher, you can only have one. Most remembered for coaching the Rams, Rams 15. Okay. Close some slides. I got too many slides open. And again, he coached Buffalo and the Rams, who are opening the season. And by the way, you guys, the last time the Rams and Buffalo played each other was 711 days before the season opener. 7/11. Remember, this year on 7/11, you had the 7/11 shootings in Los Angeles, and you also had the nuclear PSA scare in New York City. And Donald Trump confused 9/11 with 7/11 when he was speaking in Buffalo. And again, from the top shooting to the season opener against LA, the top shooting was the day of the Grand Central Market shooting, also in LA. You had a Buffalo and LA shootings in the news on the same day. Buffalo got more attention because more people hurt and killed. But both those shootings were 117 days before the season opener, the reflection of 7/11, and Buffalo Bills again equals 117. We'll talk about that with Andrew Tate's suspension, the UFC guy, 117 days from his birthday. Of course, it's the number of the CIA. Talked about how 117 were coded into the Uvalde, Texas, and Buffalo shootings that were a week apart, and how those rituals were connected to the Yankees' 15-game winning streak, which began the day of the Uvalde shooting and ended against the Astros, the Texas team in New York. But yeah, the same type of stuff every year when these seasons roll around. The news connected to the sports, connected to the deaths. And it's like you got to be a detective putting it together. And the frustrating thing is, I mean, we're doing it year after year and so often nailing futures from doing it. And it's just like I told you guys, pay attention to the Field of Dreams game because remember Ray Liotta died the day that the Reds and Cubs were playing each other. He portrayed Shoeless Joe Jackson of the Reds in Field of Dreams. Shoeless Joe Jackson equals 205. The score of the Reds Cubs game that day was 20-5. The day that Ray Liotta dies at age 67. And then what happens in the Field of Dreams game between the Reds and Cubs? Of course, the Reds came in with 66 losses and picked up their 67th. It's sad that knowing this can really actually help you pay the bills because it's sad, man. And what I'd rather do than pay the bills off this is get this stuff to end and stop having to live in such a sick, evil, perverted world where people are being murdered ritualistically and people are investing all their energy in rigged outcomes and games and politics and just not seeing the forest for the trees. Ultimately, I'd rather live in a society where people are awake to evil and organizing and doing something to stop it rather than just marching along and calling people crazy who are pointing out what's wrong. Because that's what it's been for all of my adult life. Ever since 9/11 happened, I've been pointing out the lies. People have been calling me crazy for pointing out the obvious. 9/11, Patriot Act, Patriots. I mean, you got to be blind. 1968, the only New York Jets Super Bowl winning season, their only Super Bowl season, period. The same year World Trade Center construction began and 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. And then the New York Jet, Mo Lewis, Rex Drew Bledsoe from Washington State, like how everything came out of Washington State that was involved in 9/11. And then here comes Tom Brady, the only QB that got to meet the Pope in the last 30 years. I guess besides retired Harbaugh, who's now a coach. And then don't forget what they did with his tight end, Jake Butt, who fell way down in the draft to the 145th pick after shaking hands with the Pope. Again, Catholic equals 145, 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. Okay. Also in the news, something we got to talk about. We have another hip hop related death. Quandor Rondo, the rapper, his friend Lil Pab was killed August 19th in Los Angeles. He's from Georgia. Keep in mind Nipsey Hussle, whose death we covered back, God, was that 2018 or 2019? I think that was 2019. I think it was March 31st, 2019, the day Nipsey Hussle died. But that was a massive ritual and a lot of TV coverage, more than any hip hop star since the death of Tupac or Notorious B.I.G., really. But he just got the Hollywood fame star, Nipsey Hussle, on what would have been his birthday, August 15th, which is also the Jesuit Order's birthday. And then just 4 days later, you have a hip hop star in LA in the same city being shot at and his friend being killed. And what I want to show you is that if his friend's really dead, it doesn't look like it's an accident that it was his friend that was killed. It looks like it's very specific. And the date was again like we show every time that there's something like this with entertainment. It's synced with their birthday, and it's also synced with their last album release. And I'm going to show you how the person who's killed here is again perfectly synced with Quandor Rondo's birthday and last album. It couldn't be any more perfect, and it's the same type of pattern we talk about all the time. So notice his birthday is March 23rd. This shooting was August 19th, 149 days after his birthday. And also, his last album was Still Taking Risks, which came out May 7th, 2021, exactly 67 weeks earlier. Of course, Blood Sacrifice and Human Sacrifice are 67. But the thing is, 149 days after his birthday and 67 weeks after the last album, 67 is the 19th prime number and 149 is the 35th prime number. And Lil Pab equals 19 and 35. So does the word rap. Here, let me just write it out here. Base ciphers. Again, if you're new here, Gematria is the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. It's elementary math. It's a straight system. It's always the same calculation method. You got to learn this system to see through the rituals. 1935, the word rap is also 1935. And here, just to show you something, if I write out Gregorian, you see how it equals 149? Again, that's the 35th prime number, right? I want you to realize this. The word I has Gematria 35, okay? To the occult, the sun is the eye of God. And the way to think about it is when the eye is open, the light's out. And we can see the children of God, we can see. When the eyes open, we see. When the eyes closed, it's darkness. And like when we close our eyes, it's darkness. We don't see very well in the darkness. So the occult belief about the sun being the eye. Christmas Day is 1225, right? On the Gregorian calendar, 1225. The number 1225 has a square root of 35. I in the most simple cipher is 35. Remember, Catholic is 35 in the most pure cipher. The first Catholic president, JFK, number 35, killed on Interstate 35 in Dealey Plaza, right there, Interstate 35. And when you run it in reverse, of course, Catholic's 46. He was killed at age 46. Joe Biden was elected number 46, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday and inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. Anyhow, Catholics 35. The territory the Catholic Church controls is called the Holy See, and See spelled like how you see with your eye, Holy See 35. The Catholic Church has celebrated the birthday of Sol or Sol Invictus since 1225, December 25th in the year 274 AD. Notice how the word soul is 35 and 46. Just like the word I is 35 and 46. It's like how Catholic, again, is 35 and 46. See a lot of big rituals with these numbers on Thursday, the day of the week named after Jupiter, the big planet, Peter, the first pope. And anyhow, the point is these numbers, they're so symbolic. JFK, the 35th president, who was killed along Interstate 35, his birthday is May 29th, the 149th day of the year. Again, the 35th prime. The I, EYE, the 35, went on the dollar bill in 1935, right? The Illuminati and the I. They put the phrase, "In God we trust," on the dollar bill years later. Notice how it also has the 149, the 35th prime. And remember, the I on the dollar bill has light rays coming off it, like the sun. And there's a lot to say, really, about all these ciphers up here. You see it in the cipher where it equals 68? Notice if I write out solar system, it's 68. Notice if I write out Catholicism, it's 68. Mathematics is 68. Again, 1968, that infamous year, the Club of Rome established in 68. RFK, whose initials equal 35 and 46, JFK's brother, was assassinated in 68. MLK was killed by the numbers in 68. A lot of things in 68. Um, if you write out nuclear energy, you see how it's also 68? They say nuclear energy mimics the way the sun works. The sun maintains its ongoing, source of heat and energy through nuclear fission. That's the scientific theory. And you see how nuclear energy is 68 in that cipher? So is nuclear weapon, also 68. And remember, the United States of America, it it began establishing its first nuclear energy site, Hanford, on March 9th, the 68th day of the year. And we predicted on the 68th day this year there'd be a nuclear energy scare in Russia, Ukraine, and there was. And then we said on that day, we said, watch, when August 6th comes, the anniversary of Hiroshima, you'll see some big nuclear energy scare. And you had the United Nations talking about the nuclear energy weapons threat in Russia, Ukraine on August 6th. Another date that can be written 6-8. And remember, Helios, which is the name for the sun from the Greeks, is 68, who the Romans conquered. And again, heliocentrism is 201. In 1968, 201 days after MLK's assassination, we had the first major gun control legislation. Um, from the day of the store was cased in Tops to the day of the mass shooting was a span of 68 days. On Hillary's 201st day of her age, another number combination that comes together a lot. The World Trade Centers were 2 before they became 0, before they became 1. 2 towers, 0 towers, 1 tower. World Trade Centers into 1 World Trade Center. The Georgetown motto, the first Jesuit university, both into 1. You see how Helios is 68 forwards, 94 in reverse? Remember, the World Trade Center's construction began in 68. They opened on the 94th day of 1973. And if you write out World Trade Center, it equals 94. And if you write out terror, it equals 94 and 68. And if you write out Gregorian, it also equals 94. It's a sun-based calendar, meaning it goes around Helios, that was launched about the same time as heliocentrism, where the sun is the source of light, which is the eye, which is the Illuminati. Light is knowledge. These people are putting their symbols, their codes, their little elementary riddles all over in front of our face every single day, steering the minds of the masses, and people aren't seeing it, you know? We call people stars, right? You see how Gregorian's also 58? Let me write out nuclear energy again, because nuclear energy, or shoot, is it weapon? I guess it's weapon. Nuclear weapons 58. But the word powers 58. The word star again is 58. Stars is 58. Zodiac is 58. Remember, there's 88 constellations in the zodiac. This year on August 8th, the date numerology was 58. Donald Trump gets the Mar-a-Lago raid. Again, the man who announced he was running for the 58-story Trump Tower and won the 58th election. Big number with him. Hillary's book about why she lost is called What Happened, which equals 58 in the most pure cipher. And don't forget, he went on Oprah Winfrey in 1988 to talk about the presidency. Oprah equals 58 and Oprah Winfrey equals 58. You know, so all these numbers, but anyway, I was just going to make the point about how we call people stars, right? We call people stars. We have a sun cult that gave us a calendar, a language, a way of thinking, believing. Jesus, the Son of God. Just believe in him and you will be saved, right? These are a lot of the cultural beliefs that a lot of us come up with in this world because the dominant religion that literally is controlling time because we're on their time and their calendar and we're speaking their language. A lot of us, it's the language of the world, English. That's, again, all of this from the 16th century. You just start to think about it all, it just makes more and more sense. And again, your birthday, that's your alignment with astrology, which is synced up with your time and in the relation of where we are to the sun and the constellations, right? And we see that the occultists, they're keeping track of every number, every birthday. They're planning out every ritual. They got the calendar, the language, and the zodiac all synced up, you know? Again, you guys, it's things like this. You see how Cancer is 44 and Armstrong is 44? Cancer rules the moon. the moon landing in the time of Cancer, Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon. And, don't forget what year NASA was established. Science equals 58, star equals 58. 1858 is the year NASA was established, if you didn't know that. But, yeah, just how we worship people, right? We call them stars. We don't even really think about these things. Like, I've been doing this for 9 years, and that was really just maybe I've had the thought before in passing. For all of us who do smoke weed, we all know we've had $1 million ideas that went through our head, and then before we could find the pen and paper, we'd already forgotten it. But anyhow, as I've been writing this short edition of the book, that's just one of the thoughts that I've incorporated. I'm like, why have I never put that in words before? That makes so much sense. Just like all the sun worship and just the language. And anyway, I think I'm making sense right now. So hopefully you're following. But again, coming back to the death of another young person connected to a rap star. Sometimes it's the rap star themselves. Other times it's like this, the person close to him. And by the way, you guys, I just got to say this about Nipsey Hussle. You see how Los Angeles equals 37 in the most pure cipher? Nipsey Hussle would have turned 37 on the Jesuit order's birthday, which is his birthday, which is the day they gave him his star. Los Angeles is 37. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse numerology, shooting is 37. You see how shooting's 44, 37. So is Georgia. Because the rapper who got shot at in LA where his friend died is from Georgia. You see? So Georgia, shooting, Los Angeles, they all have the 37 connection. And just 4 days after the Nipsey Hussle star goes down, a rapper who died reportedly in a shooting. And I almost want to go back. I want to say that the number that was coded all over that was 57. I remember there was one number that they just went crazy with. And I even want to say he was loaded into ambulance number 57, kind of like how recently Ann Hesh was loaded into ambulance number 63 while sitting up. And, if you missed all the work on that, it's out there. Olivia Newton-John, her, where it all comes together, But yeah, again, Gematria, simple code, learning your prime number relationships, you'll see right through these rituals. And it's just the same patterns over and over and over. And by the way, this guy was killed on the 19th, right? Not only was it 67 weeks after his last album, the 19th prime number, Lil Pab equals 19 and 35. And by the way, just since it's a popular question, people will always say, how do I learn prime numbers? If you guys remember when you guys were in school and you had to memorize like math tables, your times tables, there's tables for prime numbers. It'll show you what here. I bet if I just write prime numbers table, that's got to pull up. And there'll probably be a format that you like more than others. Let's see what math is fun is all about. Okay, so they're counting by prime numbers here. So, I mean, you could write this down yourself, but there are tables where it'll say like 2 is the first number, 3 is the second prime number, 5 is the third. By the way, with regards to 2, 3, and 5 being the first 3 prime numbers, check this out. The Society of Jesus, when you write it out, that's the formal title of the Jesuits who created the Illuminati. You see how there's the 91 there? Again, all the things going back to 91, like we were talking about at the beginning. All of these numbers get used ritualistically with them, but you see the 2, 3, 5. Remember, the Society of Jesus serves the Catholic Church that began as a sun cult. The tropics of this earth are at 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south. The first three of the first 5 U.S. presidents, 3 of the first 5, 3-5, they died on July 4th, 7-4. They were presidents 2, 3, and 5. One was George Washington. He died December 14th. And 4 was James Madison, whose name equals 201. And I forget what day James Madison died off the top of my head. It was ritualistic. I go back and look at my notes. I know I got a post on it. But presidents 2, 3, and 5 all died on July 4th, 7-4. And we're talking about the Society of Jesus, right? Remember, Jesus is 74. Killing is 74. Cross is 74. Messiah 74. Gospel 74. Parables 74. Again, Jesus spoke in parables. And the story of Jesus is the gospel. And again, occult is 74, meaning hidden. So is Masonic. So is Lucifer. So is tarot. Again, occult cards. Lots of rituals with the language and tarot cards and the zodiac, something Rambo's building on more and more with each call each week. And just again, the society of Jesus, right? And the society of Jesus is clearly wolves in sheep's clothing, pretending to be something moral and righteous and for, you know, seemingly for good things, but ultimately at the end of the world, a group of people who control by force and trickery and deception. Again, look up the original Webster's definition of Jesuitism. It's talking about deception, trickery, hypocrisy. It's like it's a really nasty definition, and it shows you what the people who are putting out those words. Again, that's the original Webster's dictionary. And understand, the Jesuits have been kicked out of about 100 countries. There's a reason that definition was written that way. And again, so often with these rappers, it's coming right back to the Jesuits. Nipsey Hussle with the massive ritual with the Jesuit order's birthday. Right after his Hollywood star, boom, another shooting related to the rap world in the same city. Somebody's looking at it saying he's 23 years old, born on the 23rd of March. Here, I'll show you guys something interesting again, too. The word planet, you see how it has Gematria 23 in the most pure cipher and 31 in reverse? Remember, 23 is the ninth prime number, 31 is the 11th prime number, 9, 11 in the prime number relationships. Kind of like how we got President Obama in '09 and Osama dead in 11, 9/11. And remember, from the day that Obama took office to the day that Osama died was exactly a span of 119 weeks, like 11/9, like Genesis 11:9, where the Tower of Babel and the story ends, the tower that divides the world. And again, on the trident or on the World Trade Center was the trident, which is the spear of Poseidon, which equals 119. And the plan to kill Osama bin Laden was called Operation Neptune Spear, where in astrology, Neptune is Poseidon. So Neptune's spear is the trident. And again, the trident was on the World Trade Center. Obama to Osama, 119 weeks, 11/9 date. You know what I mean? And then the Jesuit nation Israel with the Star of David, which is another 119. Right away, they were who was on our TV, Iyad Barak, their leader, telling us how to respond and what to do. He used the terminology "declare a war on terror," and he said, "Go into Afghanistan and Iraq." That's exactly what we did. And yeah, so somebody actually just made a video on TikTok making fun of the Poseidon Gematria. Like, I'm like, how can you make fun of that? Like, seriously? Go back and look. The Trident was part of the World Trade Center. And keep in mind that the construction firm, Seattle, the city by the sea where Poseidon is, the man who designed the tower from Seattle. By the way, Seattle, Washington, again, 68 forwards, 94 in reverse. We talked about where both those numbers fit in with the World Trade Center, Terror, Helios, 212 as well, like the Manhattan area code, like the Manhattan Project developed big bombs, what really turned the World Trade Centers to dust. I like how people are always in the comments, look up Judy Wood. It's like, dude, do you know it's 2022? Do you not think we know about Judy Wood? Pay attention to what we're saying here. Leave a better comment. This is more important than Judy Wood. We're showing you who did this stuff. Judy Wood has a theory on what turned the buildings to dust. Remember, Manhattan Project. Ground Zero, terminology from the Manhattan Project. The new Pearl Harbor, December 7th, Pearl Harbor, buildings 1, 2, and 7 on 9/11. Remember, Bavarian Illuminati is 127, the 31st prime. 31's the 11th prime. On the 31st of July, the last day of the Jesuit Ignatian year, the Jesuit-educated Bill Russell with his 11 championships is dead. And then 11 days later, on the 11th of August, a day associated with death, they're retiring his number league-wide. 6. All these rituals in plain sight, man. People don't want to get it. Shout out to Call Me Kinfolk. I saw he had a video up on the Quandor Rondo thing as well. And I saw in his video, he said there was another death actually connected to him the day before on August 18th on West 38th Street. So Jonathan's rewriting his book right now too, called the 38 Special, about dead rappers. And again, it's because rapper, death, killing, murder, RIP, they all got the Gematria 38. And this killing on 38th Street in Savannah the day before, connected to the same person. There was some picking on Africa yesterday. They said at least 20 people killed on the 20th in Mogadishu. And, every time it's in Africa, I just look at the Superior General and the Pope, and it never fails. So this was in Somalia. Mogadishu is in Somalia. And this happened 119 days before Pope Francis's birthday, the first Jesuit Pope. Somalia, Vatican, Francis, all 119 forward or in reverse, all 70 forwards. And the day it happened on had 70 date numerology 8 plus 20 plus 20 plus 22, 70. So perfect date numerology, perfect distance in days from the Pope's birthday. And they said it happened at a Hyatt hotel in Mogadishu in Somalia, and again, connected with the Pope. When you use numerology, all those values of 119 become 47. And again, what is 47? We're talking about it all the time, the number of authority. And Somalia, again, that's why you got to know your base ciphers. Look at how all four connect here. So Somalia, 70 date numerology. Somalia, 119, 119 days before the Pope's birthday. Somalia, 47. Francis and Vatican, 119 and 47. And then the 25, remember in the same cipher, Pope is 25. A lot of rituals with the Pope. And really all those numbers. It was pretty much the exact same thing when there was the fire at Notre Dame in France. The same day all Aqsa Mosque burned in Jerusalem. Again, that's the Knights Templar were burned in front of Notre Dame, and they used to use Al-Aqsa Mosque as their headquarters in the time of the Crusades. And I don't think I'd ever realized this before. If I had, I'd lost the documentation, but I might have when I was like, did I know this before? And if I did, how did I forget this? But at the very least, I rediscovered something super important yesterday about the calendar and the Knights Templar. We're going to get to that in a minute. Or you know what? I'll just say it right now so I don't space it. The Knights Templar were created by themselves in the year 1118. They were recognized by the Pope a decade later, 1128. And what's amazing is, again, they were created in 1118. From the day Pope Honorius II became Pope to the day he recognized the Templars was 1118 days after becoming Pope. 1118, like they were created in the year 1118. And remember, the date November 18th is the 322nd day of the year. We call it Skull and Bones Day. And recall, it's the 322nd day of the year. Skull and Bones identifies by the number 322, and Skull and Bones is modeled after the Knights Templar who buried their dead in an ossuary, which is a box. Again, the way it worked is you would decompose a body in a shallow grave. When all that was left was the bones, you would collect the bones and you'd place them in a sequence, finishing it with the longest bones in the body, the thigh bones, and then putting the skull on top, and then closing the decorated box. And then that was, kept in their memory of that Knights Templar warrior. And what's interesting is when you write out ossuary, it's got the 118. Now, we were talking about the date November 18th, which is one extra one, but still the number sequence is similar. And remember, George Herbert Walker Bush, who was number 41, a member of Skull and Bones, in the most pure cipher, his name equals 118. And in the most pure cipher, Skull and Bones is 41, like how he was number 41. And when you spell out 41, it also equals 118 in the most simple cipher. But yes, the Knights Templar created in 1118. Pope Honorius II recognizes the Knights Templar 10 years later, 1118 days after becoming Pope. And now on this calendar, that again was created in the 16th century at the time of the Jesuits, who have the Templar cross in their logo, they make November 18th the 322nd day of the year, which, again, it's very important to Skull and Bones, which is part of the Catholic Church legacy, and the Templars, like they are. But it's also the number from Genesis 3:22, which pays tribute to the tree of life, the physical model for Kabbalah, where, again, all this knowledge of numbers and letters and dates comes from. So it's also interesting that 41 is 46 and 35 like Catholic, because again, Skull and Bones is also 149, which is the 35th prime. Don't forget an Enemy of the State at an hour and 49 minutes in. Will Smith looks at his watch and it's 3:22. That movie came out 56 days after Will Smith's birthday and on Joe Biden's 56th birthday and was predicted programming for 9/11. And Joe Biden had the nation's first counterterrorism legislation 68 days before the Oklahoma City building blew up, blamed on McVeigh, born in 68, when terror's 68, and counterterrorism's 201, and so was Timothy McVeigh. Again, reminding that the Jesuits are a military order like the Knights Templar, and a military personnel file for the Army is a 201 file. Um, and just with regards to the trident symbolism and it being a weapon and a spear, notice Mogadishu, what got the attack 119 days from the Pope's birthday. Hold on. Mogadishu has the 97 in it. It also has the 97 is really what matters because Poseidon again has the 97. And remember, Osama bin Laden died in the Poseidon mission 119 weeks from Obama taking office, and then they dumped his body at sea on a vessel named after a military man who died at age 97. You know. Okay. Uh, Again, 34 has been a huge number in the Ukraine ritual. This top story of this younger person who's killed connected to a prominent member of Russia's government. She's murdered on the 34-day numerology. And they're saying this happened Saturday, August 20th. That was 177 days after the conflict began on February 24th. And the Jesuit order, again, is 177 forwards, 201 in reverse. What I noticed is her father's name equals 139. Another name that equals 139 in history is Tupac Shakur. And the reason I bring it up is because Tupac died on 13/9, September 13th. September 13th is often a very interesting day in the headlines. This year, it's going to be 201 days after the military conflict began in Russia, Ukraine. And again, remember the military conflict began in the Donbass region, which is 201. For people who haven't followed, again, Biden and Putin met for 2 hours and 1 minute, 201 days after the Ignatian year began to try and prevent the conflict with Russia, Ukraine. 201 days after Biden's birthday, even before that, he was at the European Union for day one of his trip over there, which equals 201. And he warned Russia not to invade Ukraine. A year to the day later, which was June 9th, 2022, the headline that day was that Russia had taken the Donbass region, which is the most important region in the country. Ritual. And so now the next big 201 that's coming up is September 13th, which will be 201 days after the conflict began on February 24th. And again, as a reminder, February 24th is the day in history that the Gregorian calendar was unveiled back in 1582 at the end of the 16th century. Here, just so you can see this with your own eyes. 201 days later, September 13th. Maybe keep an eye on September 12th as well, because technically that's the 201st day of the military conflict. But yeah, I noticed this woman's father's name, Alexander Dugin, his name, in the most simple cipher 139. So I just thought this seems like the kind of story that there could end up being some serious retaliation for. And that's kind of what this story is, right? In the background, with all the other stuff, the COVID, monkeypox, inflation, just everything that they got us buzzing with, entertainment, sports, consumerism. It's one of the other things circulating in the minds of the masses from the nonstop programming. It's like a smoldering fire. The way it's carried in the narrative or in the news, it's hard to tell if this fire is going to be put out or it could escalate into World War III. It could go. It depends on what happens when it hits the fork in the road. But it's stories like this, the potential nuclear danger, the United Nations. They're just they're keeping all these potential big threats there. I guess it's a good time to make this point. Here, I'm going to go to Football Reference. For those of you guys who want to know the sites to look up football stats, Football Reference is a great one. So is Football Database, and so is StatMuse. But I'm going to pull up the Los Angeles Rams team page, and we're going to go to their head-to-head. I just want you to see this with your own eyes as we talk about this. Okay, so the Buffalo Bills, I don't need a Napa ad here covering up the screen. Okay, we're gonna go to their history with the Buffalo Bills. Oh, by the way, you guys, this is gonna be the 14th game between the Rams and the Bills. Again, just the shooting on the 14th, synced up with the game, the 14 words, what they just did in the Broncos game after the death of Q Lazzarus, 14 weeks later, gonna be the 14th meeting between these teams. Um, okay. Oh, these ads are annoying. I've never seen a website where when you zoom in on it, the ad covers up what you're trying to look at. Come on, man. Anyhow, the last game was September 27th. Keep in mind, that's the day in history the Jesuits are recognized by Rome, right? And then the game they're going to play is September 8th, Thursday Night Football. That's the Virgin Mary's birthday, which is another interesting date. But we're going to measure from September 27th, 2020, the last meeting, to September 8th of this year, day of the Rams and Bills, and see how it's 711 days. 711, right? 711, 911. Go back to the beginning of this year when the conflict began. You might recall on February 26th, the anniversary of the 93 World Trade Center bombing, they showed these smoldering buildings. And again, it kind of looked like the World Trade Centers. They said a missile had hit a building in Ukraine from Russia, and they were showing these buildings on fire. And I said, come on, man, this is symbolic of, I mean, it looks so similar to 9/11. And we're on the anniversary of the 93 World Trade Center bombing. And recall right before that, they said that Putin was planning a false flag to invade Ukraine. That was just like a couple weeks before it happened. And that was 119 days after Putin's birthday, who, by the way, has the same birthday as the day we invaded Afghanistan, October 7th, which is the day leaving 85 days left in the year, and Templar's 85. Again, the Templar cross and the Jesuit logo. Okay, but also just with the ongoing threat in Russia, Ukraine is that it could turn into nuclear. And again, coming back to 9/11, it happened in Manhattan. Manhattan Project was to develop these weapons that became nuclear weapons. Ground zero was terminology to where a bomb exploded above or below ground. And that related to an atomic bomb, a hydrogen bomb, a nuclear bomb, but that terminology came out of that project. And again, you have Trump confusing 9/11 with 7/11 in Buffalo, and he tried to buy the Buffalo Bills, but was outbid by Pagula, which he said caused him to run for president. So this is all part of a big narrative, really, when you think about it. But again, Trump, he's so front and center right now. The Buffalo Bills, huge favorites in the NFL this year. All of these niche rituals running around these narratives, and meanwhile, that they're, there's threats of World War III. That there's New York saying a nuclear bomb could go off. Is LA going to do the same thing next under the leadership of Jesuit-educated Gavin Newsom? War of the Worlds begins with a big 201 on the screen and premiered in the world on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. It begins with a blackout in Ukraine. All this talk of how power grids are stressed to the max. Remember this year, on the anniversary of the Hanford site, 60 Minutes did a story on how easy it would be to take down the power grid. The 911 show set in Los Angeles, the trailer for last season was about the grid going down in LA, and it debuted on the 201st day of the year. Again, War of the Worlds begins with a blackout in Ukraine. World War III, World War. Just think about all this stuff. Predictive programming. Numbers. This year on 7/11, mass shootings at 7-Elevens in LA on the day of the nuclear scare, PSA in New York. And by the way, if you guys don't know this, 7-Eleven store, is it the forward? Jewish Gematria. Let me see if I can pull this up. Here we go. The secret Jewish history of 7-Eleven. If you guys have never seen this, just think about this in light of the 7-Eleven shootings at 7-Eleven this year. Of course, they said one of the shooters was 44 years old, like shooting. But this article was written July 11th, 2017. I became aware of it in 2018. I've shared it many times. When you walk into your local 7-Eleven today to get your free Slurpee, this being July 11th or 7/11, or as it is celebrated everywhere, 7/11 Day, consider for a moment that the convenience the store brings is based upon Gematria, or the hidden meanings of numbers in Judaism. And you guys can all recall when Rachel sent me a book about hidden meaning of numbers in Judaism, which I
shared in a video, and then I put up behind me for a number of videos I did so that people would go out and seek out that book. Then people said I was a shill because I had that book that you could get at a bookstore. But anyway, the point has always been to get people to look into these things. And even though this might seem dumb and silly to you, it has a lot of meaning to certain people who are calculating things and planning things out and truly controlling the populace of the world with the rituals they perform. So, with that said, Andrew Tate, another one of these characters that was built up just to be put down with the censorship for the impact it has on different groups of people. And sadly, we live in a nation where some people are applauding this. Again, it's sad that some people have gotten to the point where they think if they don't disagree with them, they like it better if they're censored, which has always been the history of every failed society and every fascist society. And now people are cheering on fascism here, but they don't realize it because they don't know anything about history, and who they are as the feelings police. And they think that anything that hurts their feelings is bad and nobody should hear from it. And they can't imagine how the world could ever become a worse place if policies like that were observed. But it's because they're ignorant. And anyhow, the word ban equals 19. He got banned by social media on the 19th, but every single news source reported the same thing. And again, I'm the guy who has the background. Well, it's covered up right now. Shoot, what did I do with it? Or did I bring it up here? Oh, it's covered behind the picture. But normally in the background, the what is 47 license plates up there. And again, notice he got banned on 3 different platforms. I read like 5 different articles just to see if I could find anyone to report anything else. Nobody told me what his Facebook profile followers was. Nobody told me what his TikTok followers was, but every article pointed out that he had 4.7 million Instagram followers, which I realize is owned by Facebook, which is now called Meta. And if you missed my work on that and why that was announced on Bill Gates' birthday, you better go back and check it out. It's all synced up with Agenda 2030 and where they got us going. But again, 4.7 million. That's just like the number 47. And that's the number of the authorities. And, we were just talking about that with the Vatican and what they just did in Somalia by the numbers synced up with the Pope. Oh, by the way, the Knights Templar were recognized by the Pope in 1128, which is the 47th triangular number. Remember last year, the fashion designer connected to Kanye West, his name's escaping me right now. He died in a huge ritual on 1128. And it was one of those big clothing brands that had signed some contract with him on the 201st day of the year. It's like, I forget if it was Louis Vuitton or Gucci or what it was. But we covered that last year, 1128. And again, the Templars serve the Vatican, 47. The word Christians, 47. The word authorities, 47. Christianity introduces this concept of human ritual sacrifice for the betterment of humanity. And again, you just see day after day these very Jesuit rituals unfolding. But look at this. His birthday is December 14th, this Andrew Tate, born Emery Andrew Tate III. He's 35 years old. We're just about 35 in the eye, the all-seeing eye, the eye on the dollar bill, controlling the mind's eye of the masses with this ritualistic propaganda. So they do this to him while he's 35. They build him up out of nowhere. And then, they censor him. We'll see where the character goes from here. I mean, there's all sorts of ways in the internet age for him to rebound. Remember when they banned Alex Jones by the numbers, which I pointed out to everybody, he got even bigger and wealthier on his own platform. But again, this is another character that's being brought up to further the political divide, and just another familiar pattern. He gets banned 117 days before his birthday. Again, huge number with the Central Intelligence Agency and their rituals. Remember, when the federal building blew up in Oklahoma City, here's why you got to know the ciphers forwards and back. Well, actually, you know what? In this case, you don't have to know it forwards and backwards. Here's why you should at least know the 2 ciphers that Manly P. Hall teaches in The Secret Teachings of All Ages. His book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, reveals 2 ciphers, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. When the Oklahoma City building blew up, it blew up 117 weeks after Bill Clinton took office and 243 days after his birthday. And the thing about 243 is Oklahoma City, like Dallas, is on Interstate 35. Remember, JFK number 35 killed along the interstate. The I number, the Catholic number, the Holy See number, the Jesuitism number, the paganism number. Again, that's essentially what the Catholic Church really is. A pagan cult trying to control more people So they adopted, a story that was so similar to so many other spiritualities to pull them in. A lot of people celebrating their religious, high holy day at the time of the sun, since it's kind of the thing that keeps us alive on this place we call Earth. But with regards to it being on Interstate 35, there's a relationship with 35 and 243, 3 to the fifth power. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 243. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 27 is 81. 3 times 81 is 243. 3 to the fifth power. But yeah, everything's a numbers game with these people. And again, that was 68 days after the nation's first counterterrorism bill, when the word terror 68. And go to the site of the Oklahoma City bombing. I was just there earlier this year, did a lot of live streams. We had a lot of people gather there. And we showed how the Catholic Church across the street has a monument to the explosion with a name that equals 68. How there's 2 parking garages on the facility. And I've never seen the clearance so low for any parking garage in my life. But at both garages, the clearance is 6 foot 8 inches. And again, huge terror number. McVeigh born in 68. And everything about his trial, too. The judge was born on 6/8. They had it in Denver, the 68th city. It's just... And again, remember, it's all connected. Helios 68, the I-35. Everything comes back to the sun and the system they've set up. The calendar. So... anyhow, Andrew Tate banned with the 4.7 million, of course. And just to show you the visual for what I was talking about earlier with the Knights Templar. Again, the Pope, when they were recognized, was Pope Honorius II. And he recognized them on January 13th, 1128. He had become Pope December 21st, 1124. Notice, from the day he became Pope to the day he recognized them, 1,118 days. Again, they were created in the year 1118, and 1118 is Skull and Bones Day, like we were talking about. Again, the order modeled after the Knights Templar. This is how you can see that this stuff was intentional, you guys. They've been counting for a long time. And like I've always said, the Jesuits run the show now, but they represent things that came before them. The Templars, and the Templars took their knowledge from the Crusades. And, they say all roads lead to Rome, but really then they lead back to Greece and then Egypt and then, Babylon and Sumer. All of this stuff is old. But they got the knowledge that most people just don't have a clue about. And then it's just so funny how when you show what they're up to with truly undeniable evidence, you see that most people just don't have the brain power to grasp it. And it's probably because they're not eating the right things. They're not taking care of themselves. Their body, their mind is not in the right state. But yeah, okay, just Build Back Better. But I just want to bring this up too. Transition in stories. Build Back Better. Biden signed it August 16th. And 96 days before his birthday. Freemason 96 in the most simple cipher. August 16th is the day in history that Charles Thompson died, who designed the Great Seal with the pyramid on it, with the unfinished capstone, like something was still being built. Again, the Freemasons are the builders. So... Build Back Better in the year 22, the master builder number, 96 days before Biden's birthday, when again in the most simple cipher, Freemasons 96. You see how Freemasons 96 and 42? So is the word knowledge. 96 and 42, the divisors of 42 sum to 96. Again, the Dawson Knox thing, 42 regular season games under his belt. The tight end's not 96, but it is 42. And again, just born in 96, 96 days after the top shooting, his brother's dead. We talked about that earlier. So, rituals upon rituals, but it only makes sense in the Masonic city. It's just, I cannot comprehend how people can be like, oh, that sounds so crazy and stupid. It's like, okay, so a secret society that's knowingly in DC, having people in high places, these secrets revealed by a Mason, Manly P. Hall. So me applying what he said to check out for myself and then finding out that they're doing stuff like this day after day is crazy. Again, that's why I can only think that the people who say these things, which is so many people, it's really that they're just on such a low tier of cognitive functioning that they think the obvious truth that's undeniable that you can verify every single day, you know, that they're just not there to grasp it. They can't grasp the obvious. So, all right, I also have to add something. Shout out to the person who left the comment yesterday. Shout out to Darrell, by the way. Darrell, shout out to Darrell. I think I forgot to say what I meant to say at the beginning of the stream. This stream's dedicated to Darrell, by the way. So, Darrell, if you're out there, sorry, I meant to say that at the beginning. Darrell's having a rough day because people are annoying him again. He's like a lot of us. He gets annoyed trying to share the knowledge with people, and then people start calling him crazy. You know, it is annoying. It's annoying to be called crazy for showing people what's obviously going on. It's like, okay, stop calling me crazy and pay attention to what I'm saying, and then pay attention tomorrow and see if the same thing's not true tomorrow, and see if it's not true the next day after that, and the day after that. Because it is. I mean, we've been proving it for 9 years. It's over 9 years straight now. I'm now counting up to the 10th year, which will be next August. I started this over 9 years ago. It's hard to believe. But anyhow, somebody left a comment yesterday and said, Zach, you always talk about Magnuson Klemenkic Associates in Seattle who did help build the World Trade Centers, but he said, really, the firm that got the original contract to build the World Trade Center. I don't know how he's missing this all this time. But yeah, this firm in New York actually has more to do. Again, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates in Seattle did help design. They essentially did design and definitely helped build it. But the original contract for construction of the World Trade Centers is this company out of New York, Tishman Realty and Construction. And check this out. Okay. You see how their name in the most pure cipher is 111? Remember, 9/11 happened on the day, leaving 111 days left in the year. New York in the most simple cipher is 111. The construction firm from Seattle that helped build it, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, their name equals 102. The 9/11 attack lasted 102 minutes and again was 102 days after the simulation of the attack, Operation Amalgam Virgo, where 9/11's in the time of Virgo, and an amalgam is a metal mixed with mercury, and Virgo's ruled by Mercury. The 201 element, like 2 towers became 0, became 1. Again, Art of War 102, World War 102, 20 years of war after this. Again, Sun Tzu, Art of War, the longest chapter is 68 paragraphs. It's chapter 11 called The 9 Situations. You don't think the Jesuits did this? You're out of your mind. Like, literally, like, it's fair for us to say people are crazy who can't see that what we're saying is true. There's way too many proofs of the examples. We've been talking about these things since way before the latest Art of War thing, the whole thing they're doing with Russia, Ukraine, which is all 102 after the 102nd NFL season. But let me come down and show you something. Oh, by the way, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates on the 47th parallels built structures in 47 states. Go figure. But again, the designer, Minoru Yamasaki, is the Japanese-American who designed the World Trade Centers that were supposedly ended with suicidal pilots like the Japanese kamikaze pilots on Pearl Harbor when this was called the New Pearl Harbor. And, but this is what blew my mind. Shout out to the person who left this comment yesterday. I never knew this. And I'm just like, oh my God. Look at this. This was written about shortly after 9/11. This is the way they mock us. The mosque to commerce, bin Laden's special complaint with the World Trade Center. So I got to read this to you. We all know the basic reasons why Osama bin Laden chose to attack the World Trade Center out of all the buildings in New York. Its towers were the 2 tallest. Remember, they look like an 11 in the 11th state, New York, on the 11th day of the month, the master number 11, and the speech was 11 years to the day of George H.W. Bush's speech about a new world order, where he was once the 11th director of the CIA. And, of course, the CIA also equals 68, which is the year Osama bin Laden started his special schooling in Saudi Arabia. But, and then again, bin Laden gets killed in 011, and then 11 years later, on the last day of the Jesuit Ignatian year, the 31st of the month of July, the 11th prime, we kill Osama's right-hand man. Remember that big joke. But it says, they were richly stocked with potential victims, and as the complex's name declared, it was designed to be a center of American and global commerce, but bin Laden may have had another, more personal motivation. The World Trade Center's architect, Minoru Yamasaki, was a favorite designer of the bin Laden family's patrons, the Saudi royal family, and a leading practitioner of an architectural style that merged modernism with Islamic influences. So it's like, okay, what a small world after all. And speaking of that small world, another thing that even the mainstream put out right away for people who were halfway paying attention, for people like me who were questioning the event, in the mainstream, they reported about the Carlyle groups meeting the day of 9/11, where members of the bin Laden family were with George H.W. Bush, the former president, while his son was the president. And don't forget, his son graduated from Yale Skull and Bones in 68. From his birthday to 9/11 is a span of 68 days. But, I mean, come on. It's just like, what? Okay, the Seattle Japanese American thing was bad enough. So they say that he helped. Okay, they say that this man who designed the World Trade Center has helped build the King Fahd Dhahran Air Terminal in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. The name of that terminal, here, I'll just show you. Look at this. The name of the terminal in the base ciphers has gematria of 135, also 153 like Jesuit order. Look at the word terrorism, 135 and 54, and then the name of the town alone where the airport is. You see how Dhahran has the 54 135? Remember what else has the 54 135? Bavaria. Bavaria's 54 and 135. That's where the Illuminati was established. Skull and Bones is modeled after the secret societies of Bavaria. Skull and Bones men, right? The Bushes. Knights Templar, Catholic Church, all related. And again, as a reminder, Jesuit order equals 54, sun equals 54. The Jesuit order's logo is the sun with the letters IHS with the Templar cross in it. And by the way, IHS stands for Isus Hominum Salvator, which equals 274 in the most simple cipher. What year has the Catholic Church celebrated the sun's birthday since? 274 AD. Just like how your science book tells you the surface gravity of the sun is 274 meters per second squared. And in reverse, it's 266, like Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope, the 266th. So anyway, yeah, with regards to that New York firm being the first to have the contract to build it, New York 111, New York also 39. Again, NY is 39 in reverse, NYC is 39 in reverse with numerology. New York, comma NY like an envelope's 39. New York's the most 39 place in the world. The World Trade Centers, their idea was drawn at the 1939 World's Fair. We were talking about that earlier with 23 years before the Space Needle at the Seattle World's Fair and Seattle's relationship with the buildings from Boeing to Magnus and Klemenkic Associates. Remember, Boeing's founder went to Yale and his name equals 68. Boeing in Seattle. Yeah, just with the whole alien connection, the Space Needle. Again, the Space Needle was in 62 at the World's Fair. The World Trade Centers came down 62 years after the 1939's World's Fair. The word Mason is 62 like the builders. But I just think about, all the movies in New York with aliens too, from War of the Worlds to Independence Day with Will Smith. And remember, Independence Day can be written 47, like the Roswell incident was in 47 in New Mexico, the 47th state, before they put the Space Needle up on Seattle in the 47th parallel. And for people who don't know why the Space Needle's in Seattle, it's because actually the first official UFO sighting was at Mount Rainier, which is just south of Seattle. It's the massive active volcano next to Seattle. It's why Seattle is actually ranked as one of the most dangerous cities to live in the world because of Rainier. But Rainier in the most pure cipher is also 47. So, isn't that interesting? The man who designed the World Trade Centers had history with the bin Laden family going back to the 1950s. I was trying to find the specific year. It's probably out there. I'm going to die if I find out that the year that he worked for the bin Ladens is 1954. Here's the reason I'm going to die. You see how Islam is 54? Of course, in reverse, it's 81, like President Biden, who on 8/1 was talking about killing Osama bin Laden's right-hand man on the last day of the Jesuitic nation year, July 31st. But the word terrorism is also 54, like we just talked about. And remember, Osama bin Laden was killed on his 54th day of being 54 years old, supposedly. And again, synced up with Barack Obama, whose name also equals 68. And again, if you go back and look into Osama, he began attending this exclusive school in 1968 that put him on the path that got him to where he was. It's all part of the story. But remember, he used to work for the CIA. Remember, he used to get some nice money from the CIA to tamper with the Soviet Union's involvement in Afghanistan. And CIA, of course, is 68. How it all comes together. And the CIA was established on the 201st day of the Pope's age, and the letters in their logo equals 201, like their motto equals 201. Also, yesterday was the day of awesome comments. I don't think I ever really looked into. I've always talked about the Pentagon construction beginning on September 11th, 1941, before Pearl Harbor, but somebody pointed out that it also opened on January 15th, 43. And isn't that fitting? 115 and 43. Remember, that's the first day we got coronavirus, which came after the military simulation. And then the military plan to rush out the vaccine, Operation Warp Speed. But it was January 15th, 2020 that COVID supposedly arrived in the US. But anyway, 115 and 43 in the Masonic city. When Masonics 115 and 43, and words like Lucifer 115 and 43, so is killing. That's what militaries do, the Pentagon. Well, what else is interesting about this is from the day that construction began, September 11th, 41, to the day it opened is 491 days later, which is the 94th prime number. And remember, terror equals 94. World Trade Center equals 94. They opened on the 94th day of 73. It's the year Soylent Green came out. It's the year of Roe v. Wade. Also big rituals. Remember, Roe v. Wade overturned on Masonry's birthday in the Masonic city. But all these numbers are important. When you spell out September 11th in the same cipher, it's 77 as World Trade Center. Flight 77 hit the Pentagon. And the plane took off, crashed 77 minutes after taking off into the 77-foot tall tower on the 77th meridian, blah, blah, blah. And if you spell out the Manhattan Project, it's 77. World Trade Center is 185. The attack came 185 days after Osama bin Laden's March 10th birthday. So again, just how the base ciphers fit in with the ritual. 247, whenever I see that, I just think of 24/7, but World Trade is 24/7, but I don't know if that actually fits in with the 9/11 attack somewhere. That's the one cipher I couldn't tell you about. But yeah, 491 days later. And again, just the fact that we're living out things planned long in advance. Remember, July 6th, 1946, 3 years later, was the day George W. Bush was born. And the same day that he was born, Governor Dewey of New York, he had the first meeting to build the World Trade Center in New York the day Bush was born, who was the president when 9/11 happened. Again, 2001: A Space Odyssey came out in 68, the year he got out of Skull and Bones, the year of all those rituals, Hollywood, entertainment, news, predictive programming, years of planning for certain major rituals that are meant to shift humanity. Just doing it all just so ritualistically. So again, just the fact that it construction began on September 11th before Pearl Harbor, and 9/11 ends up getting called the new Pearl Harbor, that should tell people all they need to know right there. That's beyond coincidence. Take 3 of the 50 things I've talked about in this video. It's all way beyond coincidence. Just for the record, I started to look more into the family that airport's named after, that he helped build in the 50s. And I just noticed something interesting just looking into the family in recent history. Again, that airport's named after the founder of Saudi Arabia, which is, if you guys don't know, that the thing that's different about that country is a family runs the country. The next leader is another family member. But on the day leaving 201 days left in the year 82, the sitting king died, and he was replaced by his family member. He was the 5th son of the king who was ruling, and he was replaced by the 8th son of the king. That 5885 thing. But on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, I honestly have not done a lot of work on the Saudi family, but yeah, I bet there's a lot there. Remember everything they're doing with the whole golf thing, right? And again, they're connected to the huge 201 ritual on 9/11, but the whole Gulf thing going on right now, that whole controversy, it's got the Jesuit numbers all over it. I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day to find out that what's really behind the Saudi family, which again, that country's used strategically. Part of the reason that we don't have the part. I mean, it's again, it's a joke, you guys. It's just like we invade Afghanistan and Iraq, and almost every attacker on 9/11 is from Saudi Arabia, but they're a trade partner because of oil, and they're run by a family instead of a country. So, but that's the reason I think that ultimately, if we get behind it, I'm pretty sure the thing that allows the Saudi kings to rule that country is the same Vatican that's allowing everything else, and strategically for the sake of narratives and agendas, and kind of like how they can make up the excuses and reasons for why we don't do anything about Saudi Arabia, despite them essentially being the country responsible for the attack that day. Not to mention that's where the Bin Laden family's from. So. Also, you don't see Oregon in the headline news too often, but on the 33 date numerology, of course, Oregon's the 33rd state in order of statehood. There was a story about a death of a woman who fell off a popular hiking trail. And, it just makes you wonder. It's like, is that what really happened to this woman? The word hike equals 33, and the 33rd state on the 33 date numerology, we're reading about the death of a woman who fell off the trail. And you see how they had to say that she died at essentially 1:15 p.m.? The name of the trail, you guys, they say she's on the Larch Mountain Trail, dead at 1:15. Got 83 like murder, 1:15 like killing. You know what I mean? Murder by numbers in 83. It's possible. Like these are the kind of things like sometimes you have things happen to you in life that are just perfect by the numbers, and you're like, how is this happening? Again, it reminds you of Hermeticism. Everything carries a vibration. Is it possible that you're more prone to a fatal mistake on a trail with a 1:15 gematria at 1:15 p.m.? But this is the thing that's always weird about the news. We see so often it is a total manipulation and a contriving by the numbers, especially when they change people's ages of death after they pass to fit the ritual. But then, just from life experience, things do happen organically too. So it's weird, but I like to document things like this and think about it. And then again, it's along the Columbia River. Rambo's always talking about Columbus in the Catholic Church. And again, they are the big giant death cult that's all over this land, including Oregon. But RIP to that person. Just makes you wonder. And by the way, if anybody wants to do a little research, this was also just passed on to me the other day, that in 1968, I'm always talking about all the things that happened in 68, coronavirus coined, fentanyl approved, first case of HIV, all the 9/11 planning, major assassinations, and right on down the line, a lot of stuff in 68. The U.S. government's biggest expenditure on research of students in classrooms was launched in 1968, and it was called Follow Through. And follow through. Notice the gematria is 72 and 54. Of course, Jesuit order is 72 and 54. And the word school, of course, is 72. And the Jesuits were created in Paris, which equals 72 on a 72 date numerology. And everything's synced up with the sun, which moves 1 degree on the astrological calendar every 72 years. And again, we're pledging to stripes and stars. But yeah, I haven't looked into this much, but I'm guessing there's some really interesting things here. The initial proposal for the program was 120 million, Illuminati number. It got 15 million. 120 is the 15th triangular number. Again, the Illuminati established on the first day of the 5th month, 1 through 15 added together equals 120. Skull and Bones, which is part of the Illuminati network, allows 15 members per year. But yeah, for those of you guys who like to research, this might be something to look more into. If you can get some official dates on follow through. But yeah, it just makes me sick that we've always had a government like this doing things ritualistically, and ultimately they make everything seem like it's about everything the government does is trickery. Again, it's that Webster's definition of Jesuitism, trickery and deception. They trick us into everything. They make it seem like it's good, but it's ultimately bad, and they know what they're doing. And they've absolutely done that with U.S. education. They make people hate learning. Most Americans hardly read anything after they get out of school because they hate reading from what they had to do in school, because they had to read all this material that was boring, seemingly had no purpose, no connection. And it's sad because we live in a world where there's so much written material. There's so many things that all sorts of young people deserve to know about and learn about. I remember when I finally started reading for myself, I was blown away about all the things that were out there that we never talked about in my years of school. I didn't start reading until about the same time I got out of high school. And like, true story, and I just how bad school was. When we had to do book reports when I was growing up, I've said this a million times before, and it's 100% true. When we had to do book reports in school, I rarely ever read another book. What I did almost every time, because I could write fairly well, is I would make up a book, I'd make up an author, and then I'd write the report about the fictional book that I never read. And my teacher would never catch me on it, and they would just grade and give me a good score because the paper was written well. And then I was getting to skip the whole point of, but sometimes they actually make you read a specific thing. And in those cases, I couldn't get around it. But so often, whenever we were told to just read a book and write a report, I was essentially just writing my report on my own fictional book. But anyway, and realize that it's not, in hindsight, it's not bad that I did that, because I was like thinking outside of the box. I was using my own critical thinking skills, my own imagination. So it's essentially still achieving the thing. But the point is, like, they could have, in the time we were in school, they could have inspired us to like learning by allowing us to use more of our own independence, and, like, just give a framework. Say, okay, what we're really trying to do here today, students, is we're really trying to understand this concept. So let's talk about this concept. Okay, it seems like you guys get the concept now. What's a story that sounds really fun or interesting to you? Go out and make up that story and work that concept into it. Let's see how that is. I mean, if we did that with our students, they'd have a lot more fun. But you know why they don't do that? Because they don't want people to be creative and individuals. They want them to be cookie cutter people that all learn the same lessons, the same history, think the same way, write the same way, believe the same way. That's what's going on in America, and you see how it works. Because I mean, that's why we can't even hardly break through to anybody showing them this information that we've been carrying on for 9 years, proving our point day after day, because they're those cookie cutter people. In school, they learn not to trust things on the internet, only believe the news, politicians, authority figures. They're the cookie cutter person that the school tried to turn us into. And it turned most of us into those people, but some of us it didn't. Those of us who spent more time in the principal's office and whatnot. Everyone thought they were bad qualities, but really they were the qualities that should have been in everybody. Have a sense of justice, have a sense that a lot of the authority in our society is bullshit. I was sensing all these things on a high degree from a young age, but what are you going to do? I guess that's what we're trying to do now, instill it in more people, because it needs to happen. We need people to stop following the rules of tyrants. If people don't follow the rules of tyrants, the tyrants don't rule. Shout out to Randy wherever he is. He always says that the best way. Randy's got some way he puts those words together. It just sounds nice and clean. So yeah, that was the stream. I'm not sure I delivered it in the best of ways. Some days my mind is working better when I present than others, but we started with what's going on with sports and politics and Russia, Ukraine, and in the latest celebrity deaths, and how it all clearly weaves together, and sadly where it could be going to soon. Again, I'll remind you guys, another thing going on in world affairs is the tensions with China and Taiwan. Remember, Nancy Pelosi's been part of the tensions with China since she was back there in 1991. By the way, 91 again, you guys. 91 was the year that Nancy Pelosi was in God, what happened in 89? Hold on, I'm spacing it right now. 1989, is it Tibet? China conflict. I think it's Tibet. Tiananmen Square. That's what it is. It's the Tiananmen Square protest, the deadly protests. And then Nancy Pelosi went to China in 91, the same year the Soviet Union fell apart, and talked about how they're anti-democracy. And, she became, enemy of China. And now she's over there on August 2nd, 8-2, as an 82-year-old, after all these tensions between the U.S. and China over COVID, which equals 82. But again, that thing with Pelosi went back to 91. And then they've been doing all sorts of stuff with China and Taiwan that's also 201. Again, the Jesuits have been in China longer than they've been in the U.S. Again, the whole art of war thing, the Jesuits, China, the strategy, the rituals. But Let me see. Getting that Alzheimer's. There was one more thing I wanted to say about that. Oh yeah, I know what it is. Okay, Pelosi. So Pelosi, using Pelosi with China. The biggest Chinese population in the world outside of mainland China is in San Francisco. San Francisco's Chinatown has the biggest Chinese population in the world outside of mainland China. And when we think of communism in America, we think of San Francisco, and that's Nancy Pelosi's city. And we know things are becoming a lot more communistic in the US in recent times as we have less freedom and more big authority. You know what? You know what word I really like more than communism? Eh, I've always actually made the same argument that there's different degrees of fascism in the world. Essentially, after World War II, pretty much every major government became fascist, just major partnerships with government and corporations. And, those things created less rights for people. That's why you had the war on drugs, because all of a sudden you had these big corporations that wanted to control the medicine and the chemicals in people's bodies. And they didn't want people growing their own medicine out in the backyard with the opium and the mescaline and the weed and all the ways that people have self-medicated and connected and had spiritual beliefs. By the way, that's another thing to look into, you guys, with the Catholic Church and world domination. The Catholic Church, when it came to America, the Americas, it took away all of the spiritual practices, which involved using the plants, the nature, whether it was weed or peyote, all these different things. They took that away. Magic mushrooms down in South America, they took away all this stuff from all the indigenous people, and they said, no, that's evil. That's not how you worship. You don't connect through God with plants. No, you get one of these books here. This is how you worship God. You get one of these books here, and then you come to our church and you put the money in the plate. And if you can't do that, well, we're just going to kill you like we did the last tribe down the street that wanted to keep eating the mushrooms. And you guys really need to think about that, because all over the world, controlled by these fascist Jesuit governments, they're highly opposed to drugs everywhere. And just recently, they're starting to roll back the curtain on you can smoke some weed again now that Monsanto's in the business. And again, it all comes back to control and mind control when you think about it. So, yeah, and what did we do when we went into Afghanistan? We got rid of the Taliban and brought back the poppy production, and now the world's flooded with, opioids, whether it's heroin or fentanyl. And this isn't by accident, you guys. This is what's going on in the world. They told us we would be good on 9/11 if we put a yellow ribbon on our car and supported the troops in the military campaign after the towers came down. That's what good was. And if you question that, you were bad. And trust me, I know that, because I was the bad person getting yelled at and threatened by everyone for pointing out what was wrong with everything, from the lies of 9/11 to this just go along and put a yellow ribbon on your car and think you're doing the right thing. I said that might as well. What I was saying about those people back then, I said these are the same people who would have put the swastika on their arm and marched along with the Nazis. There's nothing different. They're just going with what their leaders are telling them, even though it's obvious bullshit. And you know who else said that? Another Zach said that. He said it in his song, The Rage Against the Machine Guy. He said a yellow ribbon instead of a swastika. And honestly, I was saying the same thing before I even heard that in the song. But anyway, the same stuff going on worldwide, different degrees of fascism and government control, but we see it's becoming worse in America. I mean, look, a lot of people felt like they didn't even have sovereignty over their own body. They had to do what they had to do to keep their job. And ultimately, they did have a choice. They could have said, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm quitting the job. But for too many people, that was too big of a risk. Am I going to end up with the blood clots, or am I going to end up homeless on the street? I'd rather take the chance with the blood clots. That's what my decision is. That's what some people ultimately did. And again, that's why it's becoming a lot more fascist, because when you're being forced into making decisions about your physical well-being that you don't feel comfortable with to be in compliance with your ruler, that's not freedom. Freedom is the opposite of fascism. So I see they got the one-eyed politician back in for some more Illuminati symbolism. The guy that wears the eye patch. Some more tragic news. He slept on his brother's grave and now will be buried by his side. Let's talk about that real quick. This has to do with the military. Again, what do we call a military person? We call them a soul die right? Soul like the sun, die like die, R. And I want to remind people about the word soul. Again, it has that gematria 3546 like Catholic and I. Again, the sun worshiping cult who's had militaries for centuries dominating parts of the earth who, kill people that don't agree with their spiritual beliefs. You were the tribe that liked eating the mushrooms. Well, here comes the latest military order of the Catholic Church to, bulldoze you and build some nice cathedrals where you used to connect with Creator, or so you thought until the Catholics told you it was so evil. And that's what's crazy when you think about this cult, man. Just like calling everything else evil. If you don't believe like them, you're evil, you're bad, as they literally kill people and take away like tribes that lived in peace, that didn't destroy the land, that had, centuries of ancestry just wiped out like nothing. Not long, centuries later after conquering them, the whole earth's in turmoil, destroyed, environments polluted. But R, soul die R, right? If you break it down, soul die R. The last letter is R, the 18th. You got to be 18 to join the military. The word sun has gematria of 18. The letters in the Jesuit logo, IHS 18. Again, fossil fuels, right? Fossil fuels created by the sun, the breaking down of organic material. The word gas is 18. The word oil is 18. Federal tax for gas, 18 cents per gallon. Our soul die-ars all over the world fighting for energy resources. Almost everything comes back to energy. Bill Gates in 2010 said in his TED Talk, said we need to harness the spent nuclear energy fuel in Russia, Ukraine to create net zero. And again, he started his new nuclear facility in Wyoming, Bill Gates. If you guys don't know about it, you can go back, listen to what he said in 2010. You can take spent nuclear energy fuel and you can essentially create this massive bomb underground that puts off all this energy that lasts forever. And he says it's safe, but I don't know. Sounds kind of crazy to me. But the point is, big military thing going on in Russia, Ukraine with nuclear energy scares and causing energy prices to climb worldwide. So there's less consumption. Again, agendas, rituals, storylines carried out to achieve purposes. Soul die R. So anyway, soul the sun. The word die is also 18. Isn't it amazing how it's 18 in 3 out of the 4 ciphers? It's like that's the one thing you're definitely going to do in your lifetime under the sun. You're going to die. And for a lot of people, it comes prematurely because they've been mind controlled from a young age. I mean, just think about it in America. Think about the mind control from kindergarten through graduation. America's great. Everything else is bad. We're the freest, greatest people there ever was. All these other nations are so bad. And, some people are really into that. And then they join the military and then they're shipped off to war. And the next thing they know, they're carrying out missions that they don't feel too good about because they're raiding neighborhoods and, things are going wrong and people are nervous and scared and shots are fired and young children are dead needlessly. And then people are having to live a life knowing that they killed an innocent family who had nothing to do with nothing, but they were under orders. And then they come back home and they got mental problems and they're violent and they're alcoholics. And next thing you know, somebody gave them some heroin and now they're an addict on the street. And now they're holding a sign, homeless vet. And meanwhile, people are driving past them because they're in a hurry to watch the rig sports game. And they're going to see a lot of military ads. And it's going to say, be all you can be in the military. And they're going to get all synced into that mind control while they just ignored the reality on the street. And they're going to allow their 18-year-old to sign up to be a soul die-r. So student loan announcement to come in next week or so. Shout out to Holly. I know that's going to be good news for her. But do remember, I mean, if they end up canceling, $1 trillion in student debt, that's also going to take another hit on the dollar, which is all part of the plan. So, okay. All right. Yeah, I think those were all the points I wanted to hit. Tyson Fury says his cousin was stabbed to death, calls for measure to deter knife crime. Oh, I got to look this up, actually. Tyson Fury, he's helped put a few bucks in our pocket with some of his rig fights over the years. So let's see what happened here with the cousin. Let's see. British boxing champion Tyson Fury said his cousin was stabbed to death Sunday, so today, August 21st. The first thing I think about today, 218, Holy Roman Empire 218, not Sumerian, in the English extended gematria, death is 218. We'll see how it lines up with his birthday. Stabbed to death Sunday as he called on the UK government to take steps to curb knife crimes. My cousin was murdered last night, stabbed in the neck. This is becoming ridiculous. Idiots carry knives. The you know what I hate about the cabal is just how they get away with the mockery. Like, they choose who gets to have a front page headline and a big caption. These fights, people love fights, and plenty of people can watch fights without becoming violent, but these fights do make certain people definitely more violent. I still remember the only night there was ever a UFC event in Key Arena in the 7 years I lived next to Key Arena. The night that there was the UFC fight, never saw so much chaos in the neighborhood. It was crazy how many windows were broken, how many fights broke out in the neighborhood, how many sirens there were. And even I, late that night, had to come out of my apartment, and but I had to yell down to the guy that I was going to call the cops if he didn't stop, because he was beating the shit out of a guy on the side of the curb. I didn't even know what happened, but it looked like the guy's getting. But anyway, it was the night of the UFC fight, and it was just so obvious. I was like, look at this. This is crazy, man. The energy in the neighborhood. Wow. Our government wants to keep us all safe, man. That's why the weed is illegal. This is back when weed was still illegal. But I was like, yeah, let's have UFC fights so neighborhoods can turn into chaos zones. And even when it doesn't come to town, like if you're at a bar and everyone's there and paid the cover to watch a UFC fight, a lot of meatheads are in there and people that are just looking for a fight themselves. So, and there is a time and a place for fights, but anyway, I'm just making the point. Government's always saying that it's looking out for you, but then they know that they have these things that bring needless violence and chaos. They always say during the Super Bowl, technically the NFL's a violent game. They say a lot of wives get beat during the Super Bowl, especially by their police husbands who are mad about the outcome of the game. That's a story every year, But anyway, let's see how they got this lined up. Tyson Fury on 218. Again, the first thing screaming out to me. Let me read the rest of this. Police in Manchester, England identified Rico Burton, 31, as the stabbing victim and said 2 men had been arrested in the case in a news release. The stabbing occurred at around 3 a.m. Sunday outside a nightclub at Goose Green. Well, there's a green again. Again, if you guys haven't been following me, I've been talking about how everything is green this year. It is the year of green. We even had the sky turn green in South Dakota. A neighborhood in Altrincham. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it right, but okay. Tyson Fury. Let's see. August 12th. So he just celebrated his birthday 9 days ago. What do we know about 9 in the sun? Funny, we were just talking about this last week with Anne Hesh. In the most pure cipher, sun is 9. So Anne Hesh crashes, and her life support is cut 9 days later on a Sunday. And that was also Ellen DeGeneres' 201st day of her age. Of course, they are the old couple. And again, Ellen DeGeneres was one of the people that, you could say, helped change the culture when it comes to homosexuality. She's someone who helped normalize it and make it a lot more acceptable. And honestly, you guys, I know a lot of people really don't like gay people, but I honestly don't care if people are gay. And I think, again, freedom's allowing people to have the choice. What I don't like is the agenda in it being pushed and normalized. But I do got to say, like when Ellen first came out as being gay, back then when it first started, I didn't feel like it was being pushed. It was like around the time of Matthew Shepard. It felt more like, like some of us are gay and just accept it. We don't need to get beat up. And I don't mind when the message that, but when it becomes like, it's what's going on right now. You can only talk about so much before they take down your video. You just try to be honest about it. They still take you down for hate speech. Anyway, Anne Hesh died on a Sunday when her plug was officially pulled 9 days after the crash, August 5th to August 14th. Tyson Fury, born August 12th, today on a Sunday, 9 days later, his cousin's dead. Okay? 9 is completion. So that's the first thing that stands out. If I'm not mistaken, Tyson's also 21 in the most pure cipher. We are on the 21st of the month. Yeah, Tyson is 21. So is So is Sunday. So is Jesuit. Notice Jesuit and Sunday are the exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. He's 34 years old right now. We talked about that earlier with Ukraine and murder having 34 in the most pure cipher. I forget what the Gematria cousin is. Cousin has 36, like IHS 27. Sun does also have the 27 in it. 81 we call the ritual number. Cousin's 81 forwards. You know what? What's the square root of 81? 9, right? We know there's always a mathematical component with this stuff. The square root of 81 is 9. His cousin's dead 9 days after his birthday on a Sunday. Let me see when his SureDog is a good website for boxing stats. Let me see. Tyson Fury. I just want to see what when his last fight was. I haven't really been following him. Let's see. Wait, this is not his stats for boxing then. Hold on. Let's just do it this way. Tyson Fury boxing stats. Or actually, SureDog's what I use for UFC. This is the site for boxing stats. BoxRec, that's right. Okay, so he's 32 wins, no losses, and 1 tie. So he has 33 fights under his belt while this happens. That's another Sunday number. Excuse me, that's another Sunday number. Loses his cousin on a Sunday. The square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. The math games they play. Let's see. His last fight was April 23rd, Dylan White, the 113th day of the year. Just measure that real quick. April 23rd, 2022 to today. It's 120 days later. Illuminati's 120. They're the sun cult, illuminated by the light of the sun, as we talked about in the beginning, where it all comes together. And you could also say it's his 121st day of his age if you count the span. And in the most simple cipher, that's blood sacrifice. Blood sacrifice. 121 in the most simple. Saw that pattern in a big way with Ray Liotta's death. Synced up with the Field of Dreams game. And here, check his name, Gematria, real quick. Tyson Luke Fury. Does have that 67 in his name. That might haunt him someday later in his own life, but that's the blood sacrifice number. He's got a kind of fateful name, Gematria, this guy. 163, the 38th prime, 44, 46. But yeah, that's what stands out. 9 days after his birthday, his 34th birthday. Oh, and you know what else? 34 is the 9th Fibonacci number. 34, again, the Fibonacci sequence goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. So the 8th Fibonacci number is 21. We're on the 21st, and then the 9th is 34. And then the next number is 55, and the number after that's 89, and then 144. And then all you do is you just add the last 2 numbers in the sequence to get the next number. So then 233, and then 377. You just keep adding the last 2 numbers to get the next number. That's how the Fibonacci sequence works. But 34 is the 9th Fibonacci, dead 9 days after the 34th birthday on a Sunday when sun is 9. And in light of the sun being Jesus, Jesus equals 34. So does cross. So does church. Oh. And in the church, you wear the symbol to remember his murder, which is another 34. We'll have to see what happens with Tyson Fury's 34th fight. Next one's number 34. You going to fight Deontay Wilder again? Remember what they did with him in the big race ritual. All right, but yeah, again, and like I said, today can be written. It is written 218 over in the UK where this happened. Holy Roman Empire 218. English extended gematria F 218. You know what else? I know another thing actually, if I'm not mistaken. Hmm. Is it England? It's England alone. That's what it is. This death comes in England, right? Today leaves 132 days left in the year. And going back to the Catholic Church, Roman Catholics 132, and so is Catholic Church. And don't forget, United States of America is also 132. There's 132 rooms in the White House from the day the Illuminati was established to the day this country was named, September 9th, 1776, is a span of 132 days. So Tyson Fury, big British boxer, death in England. Here, let's see if there's anything more about the neighborhood, actually. I mean, you can always get the thing about, well, here, I do want to look at this Goose Green since it's been a year of green. Um, Sometimes the extra work on the decode knows Goose Green's 56 in the most pure cipher, like Society of Jesus. Here we are on a Sunday. Remember the Agatha Christie novel, The ABC Murders, which is 56 forwards, 79 in reverse, just like Society of Jesus. Murders also got that 79, like OJ with the 7-9 birthday. But okay, Goose Green. You know what else? At 3 a.m. at Goose Green. How often do I teach about 3 and 56? Again, if you guys are new here, in the most simple cipher, when you spell out 3, it's 56. When you spell out light, it's 56. When you spell out Abrahamic, it's 56. 3 Abrahamic religions that begin with Genesis, where in Genesis 1:3, the third verse, 3, God makes light. Abrahamic 56, light 56, 356. Goose Green 56 at 3 a.m. at Goose Green. Tyson Fury's cousin killed on a Sunday in the big UK Jesuit stronghold that we never really did get free from. That's why we got 50 states and 6 territories and 56 signers and a gazillion 56 rituals, including coronavirus 56 years after Trump's Jesuit education began in 64. Here, Altrincham, the more specific neighborhood in Manchester. 99. What's 45 in the most pure cipher? The 9th triangular number. What's 171? The 18th triangular number. What do all of those numbers equal in numerology? They all break down to 9, which is the smaller digit beneath the number. So that fits in with it being 9 days after his 34th birthday, the 9th Fibonacci number. Again, 45 is the 9th triangular. Add 1 through 9 together, it equals 45. Number 45, Donald Trump, his wife dead 45 years after their marriage. And he did the predictive programming, talking to sheep number 9 in the Serta mattress ad, looking good number 9. Then he becomes number 45. And then Manchester. Well, Manchester's also got the 56. It's got the 164. That's a reflection of 146, like United Kingdom. It's got 43, like killing, like RIP. There's probably a lot of things that probably also factor in here I'm missing. But yeah, I mean, police said murder by numbers by the police, the British band. Says on arrival, we found 2 males, a 17-year-old and a 31-year-old with stab wounds. The 31-year-old man passed away. Okay. A 21-year-old male was arrested on the 21st at the scene, and a 20-year-old male was arrested later. Okay, the name of his cousin is Rico Burton. Rico Burton equals 63. The name of that neighborhood that I just accidentally, I didn't hit enter. I was thinking about 50 stars and 13 stripes, because if you add the objects, it's 63 as well. We know where it fits in with Rabbinic Judaism and John Carroll, but there's definitely something bigger with 63, I think, than I've still identified. But okay, the name of the neighborhood and his cousin's name in the same cipher, both 63, which again, ultimately in numerology is 9. And Rico Burton's 54 in the most pure cipher, just like Sun is 54, like Jesuit order. You know, John Carroll, who established the first Jesuit university, Georgetown, at age 54, how his name's 5463, also 171, the 18th triangular number, going with the IHS and the sun. But yeah, I mean, this is why there really can be no doubt that all of this stuff is Catholic and Jesuit. Again, it's their language, it's their calendar. These are their lands. The UK, the US, the things that conquered the world, military empire, clever, sneaky occultists. All right. I notice it's as I look up at the time, it's actually 1:32 p.m. out here right now on the west coast of the US on the day leaving 132 days left in the year. And I have been going longer than I planned to, but let me make sure I'm not missing anything else. Shout out to the super chatters. Poison Girl chipped in $5 and said, "Hey guys, appreciate it, Poison Girl." Nathan chipped in $5, said, "Thank you for your ongoing work, Zach. Also, the new website is great. Cheers from Ohio, loud and clear. Appreciate that, Nathan." Daria chipped in $5, said, "Ted Levine, who played Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs, was born in 57. Ah, good one. So he's born in the year 57. The real Buffalo Bill's born on the 57th day of the year. Super Bowl 57 upcoming. Kathy Hochul from Buffalo, born, or the 57th governor of New York. And what they just did with, again, the Q Lazzarus singer, who they did report dead at 61, but initially she was 56 and in her 57th year of life. And then, again, Dawson Knox of the Buffalo Bills, born on the day leaving 57 days left in the year, has his brother die. On the same day, the news breaks of the Q Lazzarus singer, whose song is connected to Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs from the year 91, which is the year of Russia, Ukraine, Soviet Union, Gorbachev, Bills, Giants, etc. So another 57. Daria is always good for finding one more. Appreciate it, Daria. And I believe that's Frank the Tank, Gematria, the Killing Codes. You guys, maybe there really is a smaller group of us invested in this work than we know, because I'm like, hey, these are all the people who donated that also came out to the pounding payment events. Maybe everybody else is just an AI bot. But Frank, he gave us $2. Appreciate it, Frank. Thank you very much. Frank, by the way, Frank, when we meet up again, Frank offered me a shot in Oklahoma City, and I really didn't feel like drinking that day, so I didn't take it, and I feel bad about that. It was my biggest mistake in Oklahoma City. But when we meet up again, I'm going to make up for that, and I'm going to get you the shot. So thanks for the $2 for today, though. He says, "Great live stream. See you on 9/11. That's where we'll get it." And Cuts1 says, "Good day, everybody." Appreciate it, Cuts1. And I did see that somebody gave $2 on a Cash App, too. So let me see who that was. Let's see. Shout out to Carrick again. Carrick's very generous on the Cash App. Appreciate it, Carrick. Somebody said, "Where can I get merch?" You can get it at my website. You can go to GematriaEffect.news. Oh, by the way, I got to make sure you guys know a few things before I sign off. We have a huge community site update. The new community site is way better. There's an app for it for your phone. You can also do it on a desktop. But if you go to my website, GematriaEffect.news, on your cell phone, there's a drop-down menu. On a desktop, you see the different things. You can download the offline calculator. You can get my ebooks. There's merch here. It's where I post everything. But you know what link I need to get up there is the link to the new community site. I've just been using it through my phone so far, and hold on. I gotta relook up what the website is. One second. It's so if you go to Gematria Effect News 24, this one that says join the new free community Gematria. If you go here in the description, it says join the new site here. So this is the website. It'll work on your cell phone too, but you can get the app. It'll be better. On your desktop, though, the site works great. But if you do want to get on the new community site, which I'm about to show off, in your place where you download apps on your phone, search Mighty Networks, like Mighty Mouse, Mighty Networks. And once you've downloaded that, search Gematria Effect News. Somebody set up another Gematria Effect News. I don't know if it's the trolls trying to tamper with things, but you'll find out when it's the right community because it's busy and a lot of people are posting there. But yeah, somebody set up another one, and I don't know if that's the trolls just trying to screw with people who are trying to get to the right place. But you'll know it's the right one because I'll be on there, and again, the site's busy. But if you go to the link here, I'll just put I'll put this link in the live chat. That link will get you to the community site on your desktop. But again, I would do what I said if you're on a cell phone. But the new website, again, people are posting here all sorts of information all day. This guy, German by Numbers, he's got some really interesting lists that he posts. I mean, good person to follow if you're looking for the Gematria dictionary with groups of numbers. It's essentially what he's trying to do on there. He keeps doing posts like this, just full of numbers. But all sorts of people are on here posting and sharing information. Joseph says Gene Kim, Christian Baptist minister. Just more stuff about 47, spotting that what is 47 stuff. But here's someone, Nate D's got an eye on Bitcoin. But anyway, you get on here, it's like your Facebook or your Twitter, but it's the truth seekers, and it's got a huge Gematria influence. But you can be on here about other topics. And again, the thing about this website is if people want, they can reveal where they live. So it'll show up by their name that they're in this city. It allows people to network and organize. If you see somebody on here, you can search for their name. And like if I wanted to talk to D26, I could look him up and under members, maybe he has a space in there. I know he's on here. There he is. I wanted to talk to him. I can follow him, which I did, and I could set up a chat. It's really easy and fluid to have communication with people on here. If you're trying to plan events in your community and get people to go there, use this website. Again, this website's free to use. Go to the events tab. I set up an event for September 11th. I'm hoping a lot of people will get on here and say they're definitely coming. It would be awesome if we had hundreds of people on here who could show up for New York. Somebody just set up this one for the Bay Area. You're welcome to become a member on here and set up an event for your community. Give it a date, a time, a location. I did look at this Bay Area one. The one thing it's missing is like a space in San Francisco to meet. So maybe you don't have that figured out yet because you still have a ways out there. You're just trying to see who's interested. Again, if you're interested in meeting up with people in the Bay Area, just sign up for it. Message the person who put together the event. Say, hey, what are you thinking? Like, what spot? Or maybe they're trying to figure that out. But again, the purpose of this website is to have a place to share information without fear of censorship, but also to be able to organize and network within the community. And yeah, that you can come here and set up a group if there's a certain topic. If you're a huge Buffalo Bills fan and you love to decode Buffalo Bills Gematria, you can come on here and set up a group called Buffalo Bills Gematria or whatever you want to call it, or set up a group for your city, your country. If you're trying to get people to organize and network, again, that's ultimately what this website's about. Organizing, networking, meeting people, planning events, making things happen, and knowing there's a place where you can post stuff without fear of censorship. And again, you guys, I have something on the table. Right now, there's about 300 slots open, and they're not filling real fast because it's expensive. But I'm sure in time, they'll eventually fill all the way up. And hopefully, we become one of those remaining 300 slots. But if we can get community funding back up, if we spend an extra $30,000 a year, I'm already spending a lot each month, but an extra $30,000 a year, what it would do for this site is it would allow that people have a ton of data storage and the capability to set up their own live streaming and a place to upload videos. But everybody would have a lot of data in storage. and people on the site would then have the ability to live stream like it was YouTube. And think about what that could do for all the censorship. Again, think about what that could do. Like if this website, if a million people get on here, use this actively, like Twitter, Facebook, start organizing, networking, becoming content creators, not getting frustrated about having their stuff deleted. You know, this could be the primary place where people did their videos, and then they want to share them on other platforms to get out the word, you know, where you're not preaching to the choir so much like YouTube. You can have your primary video on this site, and then you can share it on YouTube in case it gets taken down there. But yeah, if we can get community funding back up, because it's gone way down this year. In the year I've spent way more money and done way more than ever, the funding's gone way down. And I think that might be because of just things have become more expensive and people lost their $1 to pledge a month or $5 or whatever they were pledging before. But if we can get funding back up, we can do some big things as a community. Again, this is already an expensive thing, but 30,000 might sound really expensive for that in some people's minds. I understand that is a lot of money, but ultimately we do need a place at this day and age that's censorship free, that's capable, that's awesome, that's fluid, that works, and that brings people together for a greater purpose. So again, every day I get on here to share the information. It's about hopefully waking up a few more people and, you know, hopefully inspiring a few more people to do more than they're already doing. But I'm glad to see that since I asked a few days ago for somebody to post an event, at least one person's done it. I wish more people would do it. And if you do post an event, again, the thing that this one's missing is it just says meet in San Francisco, California. Well, I mean, it's a big city. So like the one I set up right here, again, Saturday and Sunday, September 10th and 11th, we will be in New York City at 9/11, pound and pavement, getting out the word. And you know, for mine, it has the location at the World Trade Center. That's where we're going to be. So, yeah. And then, you know, once you set up an event, people can leave comments. And, you know, Day says they wish they could be there. Appreciate that. But again, for people who can't be there, you can always share the information, put it out on your own social media, try to get other people you know who are close by who might be interested to come out. Again, we'd like to see a bunch of people out there representing, standing up for the truth, making noise, just like we did in Oklahoma City. Again, that can turn a lot of heads and make people think differently about things. So, Gematria-effect-news.mn.co/feed. That is the new community website. It's replacing freetofindtruth.com, and it's a major upgrade. So come on, explore the site. It's very intuitive. Right now in the discovery section, what it does is it takes posts that got a lot of likes and comments and feedback and just kind of pins them up at the top, just so you can see what some of the more popular stuff was. And I'm not sure how it determines top members yet and all that. It's probably based on most engagement. So I imagine it's the people who are the most active. But yeah, the website's already really cool. Again, it is costing a pretty penny, but it could get a lot cooler. And like I said, man, if more people were just pledging $1 a month, which is 12 total dollars a year, which is 3 pennies a day, if a ton of people did that, we could bring a lot of resources together and make a lot of cool things happen, from this website to other things that need to happen. I mean, imagine 1 million people pledged $1 a month and we had $1 million coming in. We could set up like Gematria Effect news bureaus in all 4 corners of the nation and one right in the middle, and have a full-time staff of employees, like 3 full-time employees at each station working each month. Think about that. And people, like, something awesome would be happening in the world to get out information and knowledge. You'd be giving people good jobs. And ultimately, the people who are behind it are pledging 3 pennies a day to make it all happen. I know I've explained this 1,000 times over the last 3 years, and about, you know, around 5,000 people have heard the call, but maybe one day somehow 1 million will. So maybe this website will end up doing it, you know. And again, it's been a long path to getting a website that works this good and this effective and is made for the task at hand. So yeah, come check out the new GematriaEffectNews site. And, you know, I'm sure, I bet every time I get on here and just scroll through and see what people found, I'll learn a few new things. There's a lot of bright people in this community. And if you're into the decoding, again, because, you know, I am the person that's running the website, if you don't care about Gematria, but you care more about the truth and you hang around in the community because it's truth oriented, again, you're welcome to come here and post about other things. It doesn't have to be about Gematria. And even though I don't like flat earthers are still going to be welcome here. You're welcome to come here. Just don't be cussing people out because they don't agree with you on the flat earth, but you're welcome to come and set up a flat earth group and talk to the other flat earthers, because there's a lot of them. Every time I go out and pound pavement, somebody comes out and reminds me they're a flat earther and they got their flat earth shirt on. And again, it's just like, to me, it's, we need to stop what's going on Earth rather than debate about the shape of the Earth. But I understand that's some people's thing, and ultimately, if they could prove that the Earth was flat, if that did end up being true, I mean, certainly it would wake up people to how much we've been lied to. But I just think there's a lot more effective arguments that are a lot easier to prove. But anyway, you see a lot of people with the new member tag. For all of you new members, when you get a chance, go into your settings, fill in as much information as you want to. Shout out to Frank the Tank. He's here. I'll start following a lot of you guys. I got to follow. Oh, wait, I'm already following him. Okay. Must have signed up last night. Yeah, just fill out your profile. If you don't mind sharing what city you're in or near. Again, the nice thing about that is once there's a lot of people populated on the site, and say there's a bunch of people from Chicago, the site makes it easy to search for members in Chicago. And then it also makes it easy to mass message people. So if you wanted to message all the people in the Chicago area and say, hey, thinking about pounding payment here to talk about this. Maybe the Bears season's coming around. You want to talk about the 85 Bears winning the Super Bowl 46-10 in the 46 city Chicago with the revolutionary 4-6 defense. God, you know what? You guys, right now people are saying, where are you going to go in cities when you come driving through? Because when I drive out to New York for 9/11, I am going to hit all the major cities along the way. Maybe that's where I'll go to for each city. I'll go to the football stadium, because you'll know how to get there. There'll be parking around. Usually there's a little bit of parking payment you got to pay for parking around football stadiums, but it might be fun to just, since it's football season and we know we got football stories for every city to talk about. I got stories memorized on the top of my head for every single NFL team, but the 85 Bears is a good one. And I'm thinking Chicago because Frank's out there. But yeah, a lot of people with the new members, if you guys do plug in your profiles, your city, where it says new member, it'll end up showing your city name. So if you guys missed McDonald's ritual on the Jesuit Order's birthday and Wendy's, go check that out. Shows you who really runs these fast food chains. And we already knew that anyway from what we've been pointing out. But Wendy's and McDonald's did some big rituals on the Jesuit Order's birthday this year. So, but yeah, lots of people on here. Lots of people with their own YouTube channels decoding. I mean, I do feel a lot better in the last 72 hours, seeing that the web team did a good job on the new site. It's finally what I imagined it would be. And it is nice I was thinking about how when I started this in 2013, how none of this existed, how nobody knew about this, I was like, you know what? I mean, even though we haven't gotten to where we need to be, there's a lot more people that are awake. There's a lot more people that have the knowledge. There's a lot more people putting out the knowledge. If we continue on the path we're on, we'll get to where we want to be. I'd like to get there a lot faster, though. We're trying to make that happen. So, but yeah, new community site. It's smooth. It's so far I haven't seen any hiccup or glitch. It's running nice and clean. It's looking good, and I'm just imagining the future where people are live streaming all over it. That would be awesome. I mean, wouldn't that be cool, you guys? Just a lot of people just dedicated to the cause, getting the word out, a place where they can say things freely without having to worry like, oh, I'm tripping off the algorithm. Oh, it's going to get my video taken down. That's just gone, I'm sure ultimately in time, there'd be pressure to come after and try to shut it down. But again, you got to keep fighting back. So I don't know. This is one of my old videos. I can only remember a fraction of the videos I ever put out, man. But yeah, anyhow, get on here, man. We need to grow this website real big. We need to make it real popular, and we got to get people organized and linked up. And again, come out and see me when I'm going city to city. Follow me on Gematria, all the channels, because whatever one's not suspended is where I'll be posting. But again, we're going to stop by a lot of cities. We're making a lap. We're driving out from Washington State all the way across to New York, hitting all the cities, big ones in between. Then we're going south to Atlanta. Then we're going back all the way across to LA. And then we're coming back up to Washington State. So I hope that by the end of the trip, a lot of people have come, met, linked up, exchanged phone numbers with each other in cities, and more friendships, and just more community progress, like what we just saw in Austin with the truth seekers getting together and pound and payment, and they're down in Austin after the group that met with us earlier this year when we came out to Dallas. We went to OKC Dallas, if you weren't with us in April. And some of the people who came out for that, they've been working together, pound and pavement, a few times now ever since. And they recently traveled to Austin. Okay. But I think that is all. I didn't have my eye on the chat. Let me make sure nobody else made a donation, because I got to say thank you before I sign off in case that did happen. And it looks like that was the last one, cuts one. So we got everybody. All right. So thank you to everyone who hit the like and the share. Thank you to all the super chatters. And thank you to everybody who gets on the new social media site too. And for all the people out there who don't donate $1 a month, you know what? The next best thing you can do besides donating is just participating in the work and sharing it, getting on the social media site, just becoming part of the community. But ultimately, if you can afford $1 a month, that can help us climb to bigger and better things. So. All right, Truth Seeker. We'll leave it there for now. Have a great rest of your day. And possibly we'll do the Sunday night show tonight as well. But again, I like doing the Sunday night show, but it's just the same people coming on every week. And I don't mind those people. But again, I told you guys when I started the Sunday show, the thing was to get new people coming out each week, every week, and sharing their ideas and content. And, we have had a lot of different people come on there, but a lot of times each week it's just the same people. And I'm like, man, aren't there more people in the world that want to come on and get their message and voice out there? And, there's one gentleman who wants to be on there every week, but I got to admit, almost half the time he comes on, I wish I didn't even do the stream. I'm like, why is this the first guy that always wants to be on here? It seems like he's been drinking all day. Sometimes he says something that kind of makes us all look silly. And it's just like, that's also kind of killing me. I'm like, why is this the most motivated person in the whole world to be on the show every week when I do the Sunday night show? Why is he always the first person in the whole world to want to be on the show? Aren't there more people out there that are motivated to get on and share the work? And then the next most motivated person, I don't mind him either, but he's not even an adult yet. He's a teenager. And it's just like, so I'll think about doing the Sunday night show tonight, but I would like to see more people coming on there in a diversity, and I'd like to see somebody else more motivated than the guy who's drunk almost every week, who spams 10 times that he wants to be on there. And then, it's like last week he kind of killed the vibe of the whole stream. It's about getting people together for 9/11. He comes on drunk talking about how bad everything is in life and how he's got COVID. It's like, well, why do you want to be on here right now? And it just kind of set a whole funky tone for the whole show. So anyway, shout out to Mr. Futures. He says, Zach, raise the minimum pledge. We need to accelerate the movement. And sadly, that takes resources nowadays. Yeah, I have been thinking about raising the price. But I haven't been doing a lot of sports content, as people know. So now would not be the time to raise the price. But when I get back to the daily grind, yeah, I probably will do that, especially since a lot of people didn't stay on at the discounted rate in the time I've been on a little hiatus. So appreciate it, Victor. Thank you. And possibly a Sunday night show tonight. So tentative. And if I do it, if you're the person out there who all these weeks has been thinking about joining, instead of thinking about joining, do join the show tonight and restore my faith that there's more than just, a handful of people that want to get on and be part of the community and make a contribution. So. All right. Till next time, Truth Seeker.